Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Scoreboard Keepers. I am your host, the Ref, and y'all already know we'll be right back in 30 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the Scoreboard Keepers. You're around here, we'll keep the seats. We keep the score. So if you want to get on the board, make your point. If it makes sense, we'll add it to the board. If it don't, we won't. Scoreboard Keepers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard Keepers. I am your host, the Ref, where I keep you up to score in everything sports, hip hop, and hot topics. And we have a hot topic today. There's a lot going on in Minnesota, Somalian community. I don't know if you guys have heard or if you've been in the know on what's going on up there, but there is some serious talk about deportation because of some things that have happened in that city, and going all the way, to saying there has been over a billions of dollars in some type of fraud going on. They don't know if the money's going, they think that basically, in these times, they think that money is going to individuals that don't have America's best interests at hand. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, anytime somebody's is when that type of money is being accumulated and it's not going back to who we would call Uncle Sam, there's most definitely going to be an investigation somewhere. There's people that's been arrested. There's people that have I've heard stories of people that have they've went and have attended funerals that that the United States would consider basically terrorists, and these people that have went to these funerals weren't allowed re-entry back into the United States of America. So, listen, we're at a time now where there's a lot going on in this country right now. There's a lot going on. I'm hearing a lot of things. Like when I tell you I'm hearing a lot of things, I'm hearing a lot of things that are going on. I'm just talking about within these small pockets and these small communities that that have these people, a lot of immigrants. They're coming over here and they're feeling a certain kind of way about their status. Who are we to say, who am I to say that they shouldn't be feeling a certain way about their status? But the one thing that you got to recognize is that when you come over here, there are these laws they take serious. They take serious. And I think a lot of people that come over here, they don't understand that. They don't understand how serious these people take the financial situation over here. Like it may seem like you I noticed that when as far as our financial system, right? A lot of people may come over here and they think that just because nobody's at your door and watching you on a 24-hour level, that you think that you, like, if you would come to this country, you would think that you could do anything with your money and nobody will notice. But the one thing that the United States of America is good at, man, they're good at math. They are good at math. So if you come over here and you trying to steal or you trying to rob Uncle Sam, it it just don't work. It just don't work here. And I don't think people have figured that out yet. Um, these people, because some of the things that I've taken notice of, it's almost like it's like stupidity involved. It's some stupidity involved, and that's why today we decided to have this open discussion and opening the platform, because like I said, we cover everything: sports, hip hop, and hot topics over here. We're not one dimensional, so there are other things that we like to discuss. When it comes to things that's going on in our world and our society around us, and this is one of them. So we welcome anybody that's up right now. If you're Somalian, especially if you're Somalian, to come up and give your opinions on what's really going on here, and are we getting it wrong? Does the media have it wrong? What's really going on here? The United States have been, with this ICE thing, ICE is everywhere. I even seen them, I seen ICE one day, and I happened to be, I was I was walking around the city, and I came to a stop sign, and I was the first one. And as I was sitting there at the stop sign, I had my window down because it was pretty nice out. And so I had the window down, and I could, I could hear people talking and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, I seen this van, what it was just, it looked erratic, right? It looked like a family van. It looked like somebody that was taking their kids to a soccer game. I mean, that's what it looked like. It looked like somebody that was taking their kids to a soccer game. And when they pulled up, I was like, oh, they're gonna know real fast that they can't pull there, because people are gonna start laying on the horns and getting them up out of there. But when they parked, I'm not even kidding you, it was about, I would say, at least 5 or 6 ICE agents that jumped out of there, and all I could hear them say was, "Where'd he go?" They were looking for somebody, and it was. I mean, I don't know who they were looking for. When they pulled up, he must have just basically vanished, and it was kind of crazy, because I was like, man, I didn't see anybody sitting there, but they must have been sitting there watching them. But they was on their radio. They was saying, we didn't see which way he went. And where did did anybody see him? And I was like, wow, they were after somebody. And then I realized exactly what it was. But whoever this guy was that they was after, he must have saw him also. He must have seen him, somewhere in his peripheral, and noticed that these people were after him. So shout out there. Who's that in the chat? World's Best Braider. World's Best Braider said, damn the process, damn due process deport they ass. Oh, okay. So this is what this platform is all about, ladies and gentlemen. It's about you being able to come up here and express your opinion on how you feel. This thing is happening in pockets, right? And it may seem like it's not it may seem like it's really not put together or well orchestrated, but I can assure you right now, the way the United States is moving right now, it's definitely orchestrated. They're hitting people in 1 minute they're in Chicago, the next minute they're in Detroit, the next minute they're in Philadelphia. Then you hear about them in North Jersey. Then you hear about them in New York. Then you hear about them in California. They're being very strategic when it comes to this movement. And there's a lot of people out here right now that's paranoid. You know that people not sending their kids to school. They saying that within this roundup, they're actually taking people that shouldn't be taken. You know what I mean? There's some people that are legally here, but they get caught up in the drama. And that's basically the casualties of war. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what happens. But I want to hear from these people from other countries. I want to hear from immigrants today. I want, and this is why I opened this platform up today to the immigrants. Because I would like to know what your thought process is, because the one thing I noticed, you guys are not moving like I know that I've seen some people move in the past. They're moving a little differently now. And when I say that, I mean, I've heard different tactics on they're saying that some of these things was recorded. They had people, they was listening to people's conversations, and in these conversations, these people had a plan. Specifically the Somalians, they had a plan. They wanted to come here and take over certain things and get into politics and so on and so forth. And the way I look at it is that they must not have done their homework on the United States of America. And you know what, I'm a big stickler about the African American studies being taken out of the curriculum in our schools. Because if you were to go and look at our history in this country and look at the things that we did, and look at the Black Panther Party, look at the Civil Rights Movement, look at the Nation of Islam, look at Malcolm X, look at Martin Luther King, Fred Hampton. I mean, when you look at these movements and these I'm just going to call them movement. When you look at these movements, they were really strategic about how they were going to move, but they also had something that these other individuals that's here now don't have, which is experience. And this is why they come here and make the mistakes that they shouldn't be making, right? That they shouldn't be making if they're trying to establish themselves as citizens here. Now, one thing I do know for sure, and two things for certain, is that Uncle Sam, aka the United States, have learned some things as well. And the things that they've learned is that they're not going to make the same mistake that they did when they gave citizenship to immigrants from 20 years ago to what they know now. And what I mean by that is that now these people will make sure that there's always an exit plan. There's always an exit strategy, meaning that if you come over here and you go to immigration and you get your green card, they're going to make sure that if you do something over here, they're going to send you right back to where you were. Shout out to TT Taylor, who says that, let me get this, if everybody can see that comment. Timothy Taylor says that Somalians made the black hat for immigrants. Oh, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, that's what this platform is for. We give everybody the opportunity to express their opinions and to be heard. That's what we do over here. We just call it like we see it. There's a lot of things going on right now, like I said, within that community. I saw a little piece from somebody trying to interview some people up in there, and it was interesting because they were actually run out of the community. They were actually And um, and I didn't even know that I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but or in the know about this, but there were some signs in Minnesota that's not even in English. So they're saying that some of the community in that city, they don't want to learn the English language. They want it to be a Somalian speaking, Arab speaking language, and some of the signs are in Arab. So I don't know. I didn't even know it was going down like that. I didn't know. They got some of the people up there saying that they've come and taken over. When I say taken over, I'm talking about taking over the buildings. You know, and let's just hear a little bit. Let's hear about a little bit. This may be surprising to some people because I wasn't even in the know about this. I didn't know all this was going on.
Riverside, you'll still look like a pro. The equipment doesn't matter.
Kentucky Congressman James Comer.
I did not know. I'm being serious. I did not know all of these things was going on. I didn't know it was that serious, but apparently it is. So let's hear what they're saying is going
Kentucky
on.
Congressman James Comer. He is the chairman of the House Oversight Committee. He also serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Mr. Chairman, thanks so much for coming on. This is a serious topic, and it seems to be getting worse. I want to catch our viewers up with a press release from your committee, the Oversight Committee, on Monday, saying the date to Governor Walz has failed to cooperate with the committee's request for documents and information. That's not good. What steps can the committee take now if Governor Walz continues to defy the request by the Oversight Committee?
Well, unfortunately, I've become very experienced in witnesses who defy a congressional subpoena or fail to cooperate. Fortunately for us, we have whistleblowers, and these whistleblowers are credible, and they're overwhelmingly Democrat. These are good state employees of the state of Minnesota who have been begging for assistance from the Attorney General and the Governor of Minnesota for years to step in and prevent this fraud. They see it every day. This Somali population, which has become a massive part of the Democrat base in Minnesota, it's the whole key to the business model of success for the Democrat Party in Minnesota and on the presidential scale to win the state of Minnesota and get those electoral college votes. They just turned a blind eye. They being Governor Walz and Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, and allowed this fraud to continue. And the governor wants to say, well, we don't think it was billions. Let's say it was hundreds of millions, which I do think it was billions, but let's say it was hundreds of millions. That's still too much. And that type of attitude is the attitude I see every day from Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries, who say we shouldn't worry about fraud going into the Somali population. Anyone like me who tries to question that is a racist or whatever. We're not going to be bullied in this. We're going to get to the bottom of this. The taxpayers are sick and tired of working hard and paying taxes and sending them to Washington, D.C. and different states and Democrat politicians wasting their tax dollars. We're going to find out how much money was wasted, who was responsible, and whether or not Governor Walz and Attorney General Ellison knew about it and failed to act.
Governor Walz, he's defiant. He continues to insist this is one big political witch hunt perpetrated by Republicans. Watch this.
You're seeing a weaponization. We'll continue to fix it. They're going to continue to come up with numbers that don't have it there, and it's sensationalized. I don't expect anything different from this administration. This is on my watch. I am accountable for this, and more importantly, I am the one that will fix it.
So obviously he's pushing back. I'll get your reaction to that as well. But I'm very curious, would you or would the Oversight Committee at a certain point in this investigation be looking for potential criminal referrals on Governor Walz should he be implicated in this?
Well, I sure hope we get criminal referrals on a lot of people. The people that were involved in the fraud, the employees with the state government who continue to allow this, whether or not the governor and the attorney general were warned and failed to act. I hope at the end there's a lot of criminal referrals. And I hope that when we do the criminal referrals, the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, actually does something with the criminal referrals. But at the end of the day, for Governor Walz to say Republicans on the Oversight Committee should stand down, he'll fix it. Yeah. I don't think anybody in America believes.
Let me tell you something. Now, when I hear this, it sounds like this thing runs deep. That amount of money that's involved in this case, it can't just all be going out of the country. Somebody else had to be benefiting from this. Somebody else had to get their pockets squeezed. But one thing I keep saying about these people that come here, these immigrants, they don't understand how this country goes. Somebody gonna have to take one for the team. Somebody's gonna have to take a downfall. It's always a fall guy. And they can cry from now until doomsday. If you get into bed with these people on this type of stuff, when it's this amount of money on the line, somebody's going to take a fall. Somebody's going to take a fall. It's a lot of money on the line. So I can't see this amount of money going out of the country or being stolen by immigrants without somebody else knowing from this country for this amount of time. That's a lot of money. I mean, when we go to the casino and we win over $5,000 or whatever it is, you got to report that to taxes. So how in the hell would you be this comfortable? I wouldn't even be I don't care how much money it was. I would not even be this comfortable being around this type of fraud and thinking that the United States of America is not going to miss this type of finances or this type of money. I wouldn't even be comfortable. Everything we do is taxed. So why would I be comfortable thinking that nobody's going to miss this amount of money in our economy in today's society? It's just not smart. That's why whoever was involved wasn't thinking. They saw the quick money, apparently, and didn't realize that if it goes down, you got to take the fall. Because I know one thing. I mean, they sound like this reporter here sounds like they're trying to implicate the governor. You know what I mean? He ain't going down for these Somalians. He's not going to do it. Why would he take the fall? He's not going to. He's saying, stand down. I'll fix it. Why you want him to stand down?
Believes that he's not going to do anything because they don't want to offend that population. And the early numbers that I'm getting in on the Somalis in Minnesota is 75% of the Somalis in Minnesota are on full government assistance. That's full welfare. The whole reason that the Democrats left the border open during the
What? Are you serious? You can't be. You got to be kidding me.
Biden administration welfare. The Somalis in Minnesota are on full government assistance. That's full welfare. The whole in Minnesota is 75% of the Somalis in Minnesota are on full government assistance. That's full welfare. The whole reason that the Democrats left the border open during the Biden administration was to allow people to come in and what they said would provide jobs, because there's a shortage of workers. And I agree there's a shortage of workers, but you got a massive population in that one state, and the overwhelming majority of that population is on Medicaid and then and other types of government programs. Even when Democrats say there are no illegals on Medicaid.
Let me tell you something, y'all. Let me tell you something. Somebody going down. I'm gonna tell you right now, somebody has to take the fall. 75%? 75% are on assistance. This is insanity. This is insanity. We have another comment. First class citizen. Okay. He says, and that's why voting Democratic was detrimental to us. I could assure you, if Somali was in office, it would have been worse. The game is chess, not checkers. First class citizen, I gotta agree with you. Because this is all news to me. But for 75% of that population to be on welfare had to be planned. That had to be an intricate plan. That's not something that people just come over here and do. This is why the African American community keeps coming up in the conversation. That's why. That's why it keeps coming up in the conversation. Because they've been watching from afar. The problem is that the African American community was not robbing the United States. For 75% of that community to be on some type of assistance is absolutely insane. If anybody knows the numbers out there, first class citizen, if you know the numbers out there to this, does anybody know the percentage of African Americans that was on welfare? I don't know if it ever reached 75% of the population. I don't think it's ever hit 75% of the population in any city. That's a very interesting number. See, when you, geez, that's going to draw so much attention that's not even funny. This is how you know that these people don't understand how the United States of America works. 75% of the population is on assistance? What? How? Who allowed that to even happen? Who allowed that to even go down? We have another comment, ladies and gentlemen, from the brother Nasir. YouTube on some BS, ref. Every time I came to your channel, I'm blocked from the chat when I'm a subscriber. They're really afraid of what happens. We come together. Hey, enemy pup. Yo, brother Nasir, I was wondering where you were. And I think I know who it was. And I took care of it. I took care of that situation. I think I knew who it was. And I got him right up out here. I was wondering, I've been watching him for a while. And I believe it was one of my moderators. Yeah. Yep. Believe it was. Ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely insane, these numbers. 75% of the Somalian community in Minnesota is on government assistance.
I think that's going to be proven to be false.
Look in Minnesota. Right.
Yeah.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.
Brother Nasir, are you still having issues today? Are you still blocked? You don't have any issues right now, do you? %, ladies and gentlemen, of these people are on government assistance. Is not going to fly high in the United States. It's just not going to, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And I heard Donald Trump just come out and say plain out, flat out, that he don't want these people in the country. He said it loud and clear. I mean, really.
Tired of
He said
having to stream in 7.
he said he don't want
20p
the
and StreamYard.
country. I've never heard a president come out and say that, just that blunt and outright say, I don't want those people here.
Or having to pay more to get 1080p quality.
One thing the United States ain't gonna have, man, you ain't gonna rob them.
100% of all net job creation has gone to American-born citizens. 100%. In the end, government either serves the productive, patriotic, hardworking American citizen, or it serves those who break the laws, cheat the system, and seek power and profit at the expense of our nation. Look at Minnesota, where Somalians have taken over the economics of the state and have stolen billions and billions of dollars from Minnesota and indeed from the United States of America. And we're going to put an end to it. For so long as before my election, the vast majority of good and decent Americans were forced to watch as corrupt politicians plundered the halls of power, exploited our taxpayers, and pillaged every system that makes civilized society function.
Now, let me tell y'all, I don't know how y'all feel about Donald Trump, but I'm going to tell y'all right now, one thing this man knows is money. And Brother Nasir, I agree with you totally. Man. This is like terrorism on steroids. For them to know to get on the system in Minnesota, it had to be planned. This had to be well orchestrated. And this had to be them cosplaying what they saw African Americans doing. Because they were recorded saying that they had a plan, that their one of their plans was to come over here and to unsert the African Americans. I find this to be like just totally outrageous, egregious, man. 75%. That's an incredible number, man. In Ohio, they shaking down. This is Selmo in the building. What's up, Selmo? In Ohio, they shaking down the Somalis in Ohio big time. Columbus, to be exact. See, as I told y'all, this is strategic by the United States of America. They just not running out here and just going anywhere. 1 minute you hear about them they could be in Portland, Oregon. And the next minute you hear about them having this big raid. They're keeping these people guessing on where they're coming from. But this thing in Minnesota, it's most definitely has to be more orchestrated than one would think. And it may even have some politicians high up politicians involved in this situation. This is the money that they're talking about. We're not talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're talking about billions. That type of money can fund a small country off of our taxpayers' money. Now, this is where I got a problem. Because taxpayers at the end of the day are paying for this. Brother Nasir says, when I first tried to comment, I had difficulties. I had to log out and come back. Okay, brother, don't worry. You shouldn't have any more issues, bro. And I need to see you in here too. You won't have no more issues. I think I know who was doing that. Timothy Taylor says that the government paying illegal immigrants $3,000 to self-depart before December 31st. How's that work? How does that, wait a minute, they get a $3,000 check to self-depart? How does that work? I'm not familiar with that one, TT. How does that work out for these people that want to, I can't see anybody wanting to self-deport. I mean, how do we know that that's actually really going to take place? You know, you get the $3,000 and then you double back. And then get 3 more under a new name. Let's see here. China Black says, just popped in. to hit the like button and say peace to everyone. Gotta run. Peace, China Black. China Black, how you doing? Peace to China Black. Brother Nasir says they had to have connections also. Exactly, Brother Nasir. That's what I'm saying. And that's why I believe that this governor is saying what he's saying. They had to, Brother Nasir said they had to have connections also, connections inside and a part of the Minnesota government. Yes. And I believe that's why this governor is trying to cop a plea right now. I believe that's why this governor is trying to cop a plea. He's telling the Republicans to stand down. He's telling the Republicans to stand down because he's saying that we'll take care of it. China Black says the subscriber mode blocking happened to me in here the other day. It's not a mode, it's YouTube. It's going on with other channels as well. Oh. Really? So people are having problems subscribing? Is anybody else having issues subscribing to the channel? Or being blocked, trying to subscribe to the channel? Because I didn't know this was going on because I can't see it from this side. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, China Black, because you know what's going to be on. You know what we're coming back with. You already know. Is anybody else having problems subscribing out there? Elmo says, get this though, bro. J.D. Vance, the vice president, is from Columbus, Ohio. And just so you know, his wife is from India. So he has a conflict of interest. There's a conflict of interest right inside of his household. Wonder how that works out. But we damn sure don't hear about him going after no people from India. I wonder why we don't hear that. But damn sure. All we hearing is Somalians. We hearing about Venezuelans, Mexicans. Man. I know if you're from Mexico, you got to be feeling some type of relief at this point now that they after Somalians. But this shit is serious. But then I keep hearing about how they keep trying to toss the African American community inside of these issues, which I have a problem with. Timothy Taylor says that YouTube messing up certain black channel chat rooms, live streams. I had to enter multiple times on my platform, TT. Interesting. This is interesting. It's the first time I'm hearing about this, guys. The senator of Minnesota is what? The senator of Minnesota is also a Somalian? Oh, he ain't going to be a senator for long. Oh, he's definitely not going to be a senator for long. If that's the case, then he's the number one suspect. He's got to be the number one suspect. If the senator of Minnesota is a Somalian and they got all this money going out, you can't tell me that he didn't know about it. There ain't no way in hell that he didn't know about all this assistance. These people are getting assistance without any issues. Hey, JG, do you know anything about these issues that these people are having trying to get in? Like Brother Nasir? Because we only have 2 moderators on this channel. 2. And Black said, not problem subscribing. There's a problem with the YouTube with subscribers being able to chat in live sometimes. It's not the moderators. Okay. Yeah, because this is the first time I'm hearing about this. I don't know anything about it. You know, like I had the moderators out there and I let them go. What's going on and just joined? Well, besides the problems in Somalia, there's been some problems with some people trying to get into the chat and join the lives, particularly one that we were looking for the other day, which was Brother Nasir. I was wondering where he was. I thought he had some other things he had to do, and he didn't show up because I was looking to have him on the panel. Oh, it's a she. Oh man. Oh man. Let me tell y'all. If that senator, if they have a Somalian senator up there, that's the first place they're going to go look. Somebody has to be passing all these bills. Somebody saying yes at the end of the day. There's somebody that has to be saying yes to all these things at the end of the day, without a doubt. It's no doubt about it. When the paperwork needs to be signed and it needs a signature, and they can go to somebody that powerful, then it has to be something's going on. Wow, I missed the JG. I missed it. I didn't see that. I didn't know that at all. Timothy Taylor says, once you put your chat on subscribers mode only, YouTube starts messing up your chat. Oh, okay. What you saying? Someone says ICE is mainly the Proud Boys hires, as this immigration thing is a front to deport. Bodies are already in body bags. Oh, I'm just saying, there's a lot of money they're talking about. There's a lot of money being talked about here, being discussed. We're talking about in the billions. First Class Citizen says, I had subscribed to your channel over a year ago. I haven't seen your content since when you first started talking about the founders, Disco King Mario and DJ Hollywood and hip hop in the Bronx. That's unbelievable, man. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. We're always live. I don't even know how that even happens. Like, to be honest with you, I don't even know how that happens. That's unbelievable, though.
But not anymore, and you see that every day. Not anymore. We're putting America first, and we are making America great again. Very simple. We are making America great again.
Money.com, the opposite of any work platform we tried in the past.
Let me tell you, this man is about to do some things, man. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, he ain't playing around. He is not playing around. I don't know what these people think that, you know, what he got going on, but I can tell you for sure that it's not good. It's not good for these people that's going to be, I don't know. I mean, this is not the type of press you want. You know what I mean? It's not the type of press you want. Check it out. It's not the type of press you want.
Breaking news, 6 tons seized, over 550 arrested as FBI and ICE strike a massive criminal network in Minnesota.
Listen, you're talking about all untaxed money, man. You can't rob Uncle Sam like that.
December 20th, 7 a.m. Minnesota had not seen a federal operation of this scale in decades. At exactly 7 a.m. on December 20th, coordinated tactical movements began across Minneapolis and multiple surrounding counties. Federal vehicles rolled into position. Radios crackled. Airspace restrictions quietly went into effect. Neighborhoods that had woken up expecting an ordinary winter morning were sealed before residents understood what was happening. This was the opening phase of Operation Midway Blitz. ICE tactical units moved first, supported by FBI and DEA strike teams operating under a unified command structure. Doors were knocked. Seconds later, breached. Suspects were detained inside private residences. luxury apartments, parked vehicles, and commercial warehouses operating under legitimate business fronts. What federal authorities were targeting was not a single crime or a single group. It was an embedded network. For nearly 3 years, federal intelligence agencies had been tracking a surge in welfare fraud, narcotics distribution, and weapons trafficking tied to illegal migration corridors operating quietly inside Minnesota. On the surface, the state appeared calm, low-profile neighborhoods, stable communities, and little visible violence. Behind that appearance, investigators say, was a system moving millions of dollars, large volumes of narcotics, and protected personnel without triggering alarms. Within the first 48 hours of the operation, federal agents seized over 420 pounds of fentanyl, more than 210 kilograms of cocaine, and dozens of military-grade firearms, including modified rifles, high-capacity shotguns, and suppressed handguns. Cash, encrypted laptops, forged passports, and identity documents were recovered at multiple locations. By the end of the second week, over 780 suspects had been taken into federal custody. What began as an immigration enforcement action immediately escalated into a national security investigation. According to internal DHS assessments, the individuals detained were not operating independently. They were part of a coordinated infrastructure designed to exploit migration channels, conceal criminal records, and embed operatives inside upscale neighborhoods while stolen public funds remained untouched. Threat levels were raised to code amber. Federal analysts warned this was not a cleanup operation. It was the exposure of a system that had been allowed to grow unchecked. And this was only the entry point. Because as investigators began reviewing seized data and financial records, a far more alarming conclusion started to emerge. This network was not being run from the shadows. It was being protected from above. Subscribe and comment below if you believe criminal networks should never be allowed to hide behind silence. As Operation Midway Blitz unfolded, investigators expected resistance from criminal cells. What they did not expect was to collide with power. Within days of the first arrest, federal analysts isolated a name that appeared repeatedly across financial logs, encrypted messages, and protected travel records, a name that should never have surfaced inside a domestic criminal investigation. Ibrahim Warsame, age 58, official title, Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs, with extended diplomatic access and standing credentials recognized by multiple international institutions. Publicly, Warsame was known as a reformist figure. He spoke at international forums on migration, humanitarian development, and regional stability. He was photographed alongside diplomats, NGO leaders, and foreign officials. His image projected legitimacy, authority, and trust. Behind that image, investigators allege, was operational control. A classified financial audit identified 62 unexplained transactions tied directly to Warsame-linked entities. 14 shell companies, layered across multiple jurisdictions, were designed to obscure ownership and intent. Funds moved from Western Mexico into Panama, then through East Africa, before re-entering the United States disguised as development grants, logistics contracts, and diplomatic consulting fees. The total value exceeded $180 million over a 4-year period. According to FBI cyber units, intercepted communications escalated the case from corruption to coordination. Encrypted messages allegedly showed Warsame approving shipments, resolving cartel disputes, and authorizing secure corridors across the Midwest. Investigators say he was not advising the network, he was directing it. The messages indicated direct coordination with CJNG leadership, alongside cooperation from extremist-linked logistics groups operating in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois. These groups supplied vehicles, weapons, false documentation, and armed escorts to ensure uninterrupted movement. The methods were deliberate. Individuals with clean public profiles were recruited as couriers. Religious facilities were allegedly used as transfer points, shielded by public trust. Criminal histories were quietly altered or erased. allowing operatives to pass background checks and move freely through regulated systems. One internal assessment summarized the threat bluntly. This is not corruption on the margins. This is infrastructure. At that moment, the investigation crossed a critical threshold. A sitting foreign minister embedded within a transnational cartel structure meant the threat was no longer criminal. It was strategic, and it demanded a response far beyond Minnesota. Subscribe and comment. Red line. If you believe no position of power should place someone above the law. Once Ibrahim Warsame was identified as a central command figure, investigators faced a problem. He should not have lasted this long. For nearly 7 years, multiple warning signs had surfaced across immigration databases, financial monitoring systems, and regional law enforcement reports. Yet every time scrutiny approached the network, it dissolved just before impact. Raids were delayed, warrants were softened, files went missing. This was not luck. Federal investigators concluded the operation had been protected by a shadow protection network, a closed group designed not to move drugs or money, but to shield those who did. According to classified assessments, the network consisted of wealthy Somali businessmen, regional power brokers, and US-based facilitators who understood how to exploit institutional blind spots while remaining insulated from exposure. Their role was simple: neutralize oversight. Court records were quietly altered. Background checks were erased or downgraded. Warnings were redirected hours before enforcement action.
You know what, First Class Citizen, you're spot on with that. These comments are great. These comments are great. You're absolutely right, Selmo. Crypto. Let me just tell you something, right? Let me just tell you this. This is what I've been thinking the whole entire time I've been sitting here on how well orchestrated that this situation had to be in order for it to get to where it is right now. It's no way in the world that there can't be somebody at the top that could possibly take a fall for all of this. This is why I said that the Somalians themselves are going to be the fall guys for this. They're going to be deporting them in drones. That's the only way they're going to be able to get their lick back for the loss that they've taken with these finances. And not to mention, it's not in the United States of America's best interest for money like that to be going and funding on other things. You know, you directly challenge your national security. You know, they have a problem with these people militarily. And you know, it's a whole lot of war going on over there, and now you have all this money going places where you don't know where it's at, where it's going. And then they have recordings of these people saying things that are against the interests of the United States of America. Donald Trump is not going to have that. They're going to be deporting people by busloads, man. I'm telling you, they're going to be deporting people by busloads, and they're not going to feel one insecurity about it. Not one. There's not going to be one thing that's going to stop them people from doing what they're doing, especially now. Somebody's going to jail over this. Somebody's definitely going to jail over this for sure. But this is most definitely a strategic plan, without a doubt.
Could occur. The protection was not centralized in one office. It was distributed, redundant, and adaptive. Investigators traced the mechanism through financial incentives rather than coercion. Payments moved in controlled increments: $60,000, $85,000, $120,000. Small enough to avoid triggering automated alerts, frequent enough to maintain loyalty. These funds were routed through nonprofit organizations, community development projects, and faith-based entities that appeared legitimate on paper. Church facilities and cultural centers were allegedly used as logistical buffers, not for storage alone, but for trust. Movement through these spaces attracted minimal suspicion and discouraged scrutiny. In several cases, individuals with known criminal affiliations passed federal screenings using identities that had been quietly corrected inside the system. One internal memo described it as administrative laundering. The most alarming discovery came when analysts mapped the duration of protection. Records suggested the shield had remained intact for 6 to 7 years, surviving changes in local leadership, enforcement rotations, and policy shifts. That longevity triggered a reclassification of the threat. Minnesota had crossed a red line. This was no longer an immigration issue, no longer a narcotics case, no longer even a corruption scandal. A foreign-linked criminal infrastructure had embedded itself inside American institutions with sustained protection. At that point, federal briefings stopped using the word investigation. They began using the word containment. Subscribe and comment red line if you believe no network should ever be allowed to operate above accountability. The briefing reached Washington just after midnight. Stacks of classified reports were delivered under restricted clearance. Financial flowcharts, intercepted communications, names highlighted in red. Each document reinforced the same conclusion. This was no longer a state-level crisis. It was a national security breach. Senior officials from the FBI, DHS, DEA, and Treasury presented a unified assessment. A foreign-linked cartel had embedded itself inside American institutions, leveraged diplomatic access, compromised officials, and established protected corridors across multiple states. When the final briefing reached the president, the response was immediate. Within hours, President Donald Trump authorized an unprecedented federal action order, elevating Operation Midway Blitz from a coordinated investigation to a direct national security response. This is not about politics, the president stated later that day. This is about protecting American communities and defending our institutions. The order triggered a nationwide alert. Before dawn, 12 high-value targets were designated across Minnesota. Air assets were deployed. Tactical teams were repositioned. Jurisdictional barriers were removed. Federal agencies were instructed to operate as a single force. At the center of the operation stood the most sensitive target of all, the private residence of Ibrahim Warsaim. Shortly after sunrise, armored vehicles secured the perimeter. Federal agents stacked at the gate under full tactical authorization. A final confirmation came through encrypted channels. Then the breach order was given. Inside, the image collapsed instantly. What appeared to be a dignified residence concealed a hardened command space. Agents uncovered over 110 kilograms of heroin and fentanyl, sealed, labeled, and prepared for distribution. Hidden compartments revealed 32 unregistered firearms, including modified rifles and suppressed sidearms. Walls gave way to secured rooms. Behind false panels, agents discovered server racks, encrypted storage systems, and dedicated communication hubs operating independently from civilian networks. Then came the discovery that accelerated the operation beyond expectations. 8 encrypted hard drives, meticulously organized. Each contained payment schedules, travel clearances, protection rosters, and internal directives. One directory stood out above the rest. It was labeled simply Assets. Inside were records linking 27 U.S.-based officials and facilitators to money laundering, obstruction of justice, and pre-raid intelligence leaks. Court filings altered, background checks erased, enforcement actions quietly delayed or redirected. The cartel had not purchased protection. It had engineered it. By mid-morning, similar scenes unfolded statewide. DEA teams intercepted chemical shipments tied to fentanyl production. ICE units detained coordinators preparing replacement migration routes. FBI tactical elements neutralized armed resistance at 2 locations without civilian casualties. Command screens across federal operations centers began lighting up green. Target after target confirmed secure. That evening, the president addressed the nation once again. "We are taking our country back," he said, "and we will not stop." Operation Midway Blitz was no longer an investigation. It was a declaration. Subscribe and comment "No one above the law" if you believe accountability must reach even the highest levels of power. When the raids ended, the operation did not slow down. It accelerated. Inside a secured federal facility outside Minneapolis, rows of evidence crates stretched wall to wall. Phones, laptops, ledgers, servers, hard drives pulled from false walls, buried safes, and encrypted compartments. What agents had seized in a single morning would take months to fully unravel. And everyone in the room understood the same truth. The real damage was hidden in the data. FBI cyber units worked around the clock. Encryption was stripped layer by layer. Communication logs revealed years of coordination conducted under diplomatic cover. Meetings scheduled as humanitarian briefings. Instructions disguised as policy memos. Payments routed through charities, logistics firms, and community development funds. Every decrypted file confirmed the same pattern. This network was not designed to avoid scrutiny. It was designed to survive it. Financial forensics team.
Let me tell y'all something. This sounds like the RICO to me. This, is it just me? Or is it just me, or does this sound like RICO to you as well? Doesn't this sound like a federal RICO charge? This sounds like these are the same type of things that they was trying to accuse Diddy of. I mean, you're supposed to be getting life. This stuff is so intricate, and it's all coming down to the bag, man. It's all coming down to the bag. There's no way in the world that you're doing all this without some type of inside help. You're getting some inside help from somewhere, from somebody. I don't care. Way too much money, way too much access. And how in the hell were you how the hell was you operating outside of the grid like that? They weren't even on the grid with the rest of the regular citizens of the country. They had their own grid. Like they were online, like they wasn't using our World Wide Web. They must have set up their own connection to a satellite. I mean, that's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of cash. It's a lot of cash.
Teams traced the money next. Instead of large transfers, analysts identified hundreds of small, continuous movements. $45,000, $80,000, $125,000. Never large enough to trigger alarms, frequent enough to sustain loyalty and silence. Shell companies across Minnesota funneled funds into offshore accounts, then recycled the cash back into the United States as clean investments. On paper, everything appeared legitimate. In reality, it was a laundering engine moving over $260 million across borders. As the data picture sharpened, Minnesota's role became unmistakable. This was not just a staging area, it was a distribution hub. Drugs entered through southern border corridors, moved quietly into the upper Midwest, then dispersed east and north along highways, freight rail lines, and commercial logistics routes. Migrant labor networks doubled as transport infrastructure. What appeared to be ordinary movement was, in fact, precision supply flow. The human cost surfaced next. Case files revealed vulnerable migrants recruited as couriers, promised money or protection for their families. Others were coerced into silence after crossing the border, their identities absorbed into the system, altered or erased from official records. Several names appeared once and never again. Investigators marked them as unaccounted for. Federal prosecutors responded by splitting the case into parallel tracks. One focused on narcotics, weapons, and trafficking. The other targeted corruption, obstruction, and conspiracy at institutional levels. Quietly, subpoenas were issued. Bank accounts were frozen. Travel privileges revoked without public explanation. Inside task force briefings, one phrase began appearing repeatedly: institutional contamination. The cartel had not relied on violence alone. It had relied on access, exploiting bureaucracy, diplomacy, and trust to embed itself deep inside the system. That realization changed the objective. This was no longer just about dismantling a criminal ring. It was about repairing the integrity of governance itself. By the end of the week, new warrants were prepared across state lines: Illinois, Wisconsin, North Dakota. What began in Minnesota was spreading outward, exposing connections investigators had not even known to look for before. Outside, life appeared normal. Inside federal command rooms, the exposure phase had begun, and there would be no way to stop it. Subscribe and comment "Expose It" if you believe the truth should never stay buried inside institutions. The morning after the raids, Minnesota woke up to a different reality. Outside federal buildings and detention centers, crowds gathered under gray winter skies. Some held signs calling for compassion. Others demanded answers. News cameras lined sidewalks as community leaders, activists, and families struggled to understand how a state long viewed as stable and insulated had become the epicenter of a national security operation. For many residents, the shock cut deep. Ibrahim Warsam had not been seen as a threat. He had been seen as a protector. His name was tied to speeches about inclusion, diplomacy, and opportunity. Overnight, that image collapsed, replaced by sealed court filings, armored vehicles, and armed federal escorts. Community organizations moved quickly. Churches opened their doors to frightened families. Immigration attorneys worked through the night, tracking detainees transferred to federal facilities across multiple states. Parents asked the same question again and again. How did this happen without anyone knowing? Public anger followed confusion. At rallies across Minneapolis, critics accused federal agencies of overreach, arguing that the operation had cast fear across entire neighborhoods. Social media flooded with competing narratives, some framing the raids as collective punishment, others calling them long overdue. Inside FBI and DHS command centers, the response remained firm. Officials stressed that the operation was not directed at a community, a religion, or an ethnicity. It was directed at a network that had weaponized trust. As one federal spokesperson stated quietly, they didn't hide in the shadows, they hid behind institutions people believed in. As details continued to emerge, drug quantities, weapons seizures, financial records, the public debate began to shift. Local outlets confirmed links between seized fentanyl shipments and overdose spikes across the region. Emergency room physicians, speaking anonymously, described the damage that had already been done. Then came the most destabilizing revelation. Reports surfaced that additional local and regional officials were under federal review. No names were released, but the implication...
Let me tell you, now this thing is getting deep. See, this thing is coming down. They're starting to mention drugs. They're starting to mention drugs, y'all. Like, this is way larger than what I anticipated. It's a way bigger issue going on here. And it sounds like the entire city's involved. And let me tell you, right? U.S. citizens cannot be deported. Let's be clear. Let's just put that right out there and right in the forefront. U.S. citizens cannot be deported. And some of these people most of them are refugees and are U.S. citizens. But guess what? You can be deported if you are convicted of crimes. They can't just come after you for nothing. But when this is why they're trying to convict these people and put them under charges. Because if they get convicted of these charges, deportation is automatic. You just can't go around deporting people now. You got to deport individuals. This is why their laundry list is so long. Because you can't deport groups. You can't just go say, I'm going to deport this group or this one, that one. Since they're U.S. citizens, they have to be deported as individuals. But I bet you that list of people is as long as train smoke. They're going to gather them up as a group, and then they're going to go through them individually. That's how they're going to get around that situation. But they are U.S. citizens, with legal permanent residence. That's what they have up there. Or they just plain refugees that resettled legally, way back when they was going through the war, and like JG was saying back when George Bush was president, back in the 90s. Because there's some people, I heard one guy yesterday said he was even here, he'd been here for 25 years. But when you start moving that drugs, that fentanyl and all of that money, and then it goes, and then drugs comes up. Good luck dealing with Uncle Sam with that one. Because they are coming. I'm telling you right now, they're coming.
Alone sent shockwaves through city halls and county offices. Meetings were canceled, statements rewritten, silence replaced confidence. Minnesota was no longer debating whether something had happened. It was debating how deep it went. In Washington, federal intelligence was already looking far beyond state lines. Analysts concluded this was not just a domestic criminal case. It was a geopolitical intrusion, a deliberate effort by a foreign-linked cartel to exploit America's openness, humanitarian systems, and institutional trust.
Bro, they gonna slam that door shut, and I'm telling you, they gonna bolt it. They gonna bolt it. Oh man, you done try to come in the back door. You done try to come in the back door on their bread. They gonna slam that door shut so hard, and they don't care who's in the way. It's gonna be at somebody's expense. It's gonna be at somebody's expense on what they're gonna do here. This deportation thing is going to get real, and it's going to be serious. It's going to get real out there for somebody.
Conclusion was blunt. This was about sovereignty. When a transnational network could leverage migration routes, manipulate public institutions, and compromise officials inside the United States, the threat crossed into the realm of national defense. Borders no longer existed only at geography. They existed inside financial systems, legal frameworks, and public trust. Federal posture shifted immediately. Intelligence sharing expanded with allied governments. Treasury analysts coordinated with international banking authorities. Law enforcement briefings adopted language once reserved for counterterrorism operations. The objective was no longer disruption alone. It was deterrence. Minnesota became a case study, both a warning and a precedent. It showed how deeply modern criminal networks could embed themselves. But it also demonstrated what happened when enforcement agencies aligned, intelligence moved without delay, and hesitation was removed. Operation Midway Blitz was not the end of the story. It was the signal. A signal that the era of invisible infiltration had been exposed, and that the response would no longer wait for damage to be done. Because the truth does not disappear. It waits. And once it begins moving through the system, there is no way to stop it. Subscribe and comment, show the truth if you believe corruption must always be exposed, no matter where it hides.
I can tell you right now that we know that this thing runs deeper than Atlantis, I can assure you that somebody is going to jail from this. More than one person. And guess what? There's going to be some offices that's going to be raided in the government in Minnesota. That congresswoman, Brother Nasir, that you were talking about, I can assure you, brother, she is going to be investigated. She may not even know the depths of this situation, but she's going to feel the pain that's going to come from it, for sure. First Class Citizen says the problem is sanctuary cities. That was the loophole the Democrats used for migrants to seek asylum. But sanctuary cities isn't constitutional. Why would I disagree? Why would I disagree? I can't disagree with that at all. I can't disagree with that at all. I think that's pretty much spot on. It speaks for itself. It doesn't need any elaboration on that comment, because it most definitely is a loophole that it took somebody to sit down and to actually think this thing and put this plan together and put it in full effect, and to have the right players. Don't you know to make a plan like this work, you have to have somebody on the inside? To make a plan with this many intricate pieces, you have to have somebody on the inside for it to work. So somebody sold out for the money, for sure. But look at all of the things that it came down to the point where it got national security attention. It got the attention of our national security. And once you get their attention, listen, all bets are off. Once you get their attention, all bets are off. That's how that goes. All bets are absolutely off. And they're coming to get what they're coming to get somebody. They're not coming for no reason at all. This, like I said, this got RICO written all over it. Some of these people, I'm telling you right now, they're going to face RICO charges. Some of these people are definitely going to face RICO charges, without a doubt. So let's hear the press conference. Let's hear what they have to say in the press conference.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Thompson. I'm the first assistant United States attorney here for the District of Minnesota. I'm standing in for our U.S. attorney, Dan Rosen, who is out of the country getting married. Congrats to Danny and Atara. I hope you're watching. My condolences for all of you who.
Hold on. I just want to stop this. I want y'all to notice that his face says that it's so many damn people. They've been up all night long trying to deal with all of these people that need to be prosecuted. He's been up all night long. Look at all the people behind. I bet you the entire district attorney's office is working today. Oh, yeah. Shit. Ain't no Christmas this year for them. The whole entire district attorney's office has to be working. It's probably so many names. And guess what? This may be large enough to open up a boot camp. I don't even know if they're going to be able to hold all the people that they're going to try to charge in regular jails. Oh, yeah. It might be a FEMA camp around somewhere, some type of camp. It may be a camp just popping up in Minnesota. I'm telling you, I can see it happening. I'm telling you, it's going to be one of them big ass parks that they're going to just put a fence around and they're going to start holding people up in there. Because I don't even know if the jails can hold all these people. This guy looking like, man, I can't believe this case. This is the largest case. I bet you this is the largest case that the district attorney's office has ever seen in Minnesota. Hands down. It's probably not even close. Not even close.
Will be stuck with me today. I'm here today with representatives from my office as well as from the FBI, the Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Inspector General, the IRS Criminal Investigations, and the Department of Homeland Security Investigations. We are here to announce new charges in the ongoing investigations into fraud in state government programs, including the Housing Stabilization Services Medicaid program and the EIDBI Autism Medicaid program. I also want to give an update as to the status of our investigations, which have become a matter of significant public concern both here and around the country. First, we're announcing charges against 5 new defendants in the investigation of fraud in the Housing Stabilization Services Medicaid program here in Minnesota. The first indictment, United States versus Hassan Ahmed Hussein and Ahmed Abdirashim Mohammed, involves the owners of Pristine Health LLC, a housing stabilization services company here in Minnesota. These 2 defendants enrolled in the Housing Stabilization Services program, purportedly to provide services helping people who are facing housing instability find and maintain stable housing. They did no such thing. Instead, they submitted fraudulent claims to Medicaid for services that they did not actually provide to those individual clients. In all, they obtained more than $750,000 in Medicaid payments through their fraud scheme, much of which they used for pretty extensive international travel, including to London, Sydney, Australia, Istanbul, Turkey, Dubai, and several locations in Saudi Arabia. The second case being announced today is United States versus Camille Omar Salah, the owner of Safe Lodgings, Inc., another housing stabilization services company. As with the other defendants, Mr. Salah enrolled in the housing stabilization program and began claiming to be providing housing stabilization services to people that were leaving drug and alcohol rehabilitation facilities. Again, he did no such thing. Instead, he just submitted fraudulent claims for services that he never provided. He submitted more than $1.4 million in fraudulent Medicaid claims, which he used to purchase more than $150,000 in cryptocurrency, as well as to fund his lifestyle. We learned recently that Mr. Salah actually fled the country, fled the United States after his company received a grand jury subpoena for records related to its participation in the Housing Stabilization Services program.
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store preloaded with 20 handpicked products that are trending all over the world, basically validated by AI from a trending product.
The fourth and fifth defendants are charged in United States versus Anthony Waddell Jefferson and Lester Brown. And this case is slightly different. This is an instance of what's essentially fraud tourism. Mr. Jefferson and Brown were residents of Philadelphia who had no connection to Minnesota, except for they heard that Minnesota and its Housing Stabilization Services program was easy money. And so they traveled to Minnesota, enrolled their companies, Chosen Runner LLC and Retzel Real Estate LLC, in the Housing Stabilization Services Medicaid program here in Minnesota. They then returned to Philadelphia.
Wait, what? Hold up. You gotta be kidding me, man. You gotta be kidding me. They just couldn't. FBA always gotta be involved. Hold on.
LLC and Retzel Real Services program was easy money. And so they traveled to Minnesota, enrolled their companies, Chosen Runner LLC and Retzel Real Estate LLC, in the Housing Stabilization Services Medicaid program here in Minnesota. Program was easy money. And so they traveled to Minnesota, enrolled their companies, Chosen Runner LLC and Retzel Real Estate LLC, in the Housing Stabilization Services Medicaid program here in Minnesota. They then returned to Philadelphia and began submitting fraudulent claims to Minnesota Medicaid here, through which they obtained more than $3.5 million in fraudulent Medicaid payments. This fraud tourism is new, although we've heard of it as investigators here. I mean, these defendants came here not to enjoy our lakes, our beautiful summers, or our warm people. They came here because they knew and understood that Minnesota was a place where taxpayer money could be taken with little risk and few consequences. Fortunately, through the hard work of the agents, that we have been able to charge them for their role here. Now, to date, we have charged 13 people for their role in the scheme to defraud the Housing Stabilization Services program, and that investigation remains very much ongoing. We expect additional charges in the coming weeks and months. I also want to announce some updates in the fraud scheme, or the scheme to defraud the Early Intensive Development and Behavior Intervention for Autism program, another Medicaid program here in the state of Minnesota. Today, we unsealed charges against the second defendant charged in the case, Abdi Najib Hassan Youssef, who owns Star Autism Center in St. Cloud, Minnesota. Mr. Youssef, like others involved in the autism scheme, paid kickbacks to parents to have their children diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and enrolled to receive EIDBI services at his autism center. Based on these fraudulent claims for services that were not provided, and in many cases were not needed, he received more than $6 million in Medicaid funds. He used some of those proceeds to purchase a semi-truck for $100,000, and he also sent more than $200,000 to Kenya.
I've been using Riverside now for over 5 years. Riverside is an all-in-one recording and editing platform that lets you capture studio quality.
Earlier this morning at 10:30, the first defendant charged in the autism fraud scheme, Asha Farah Hassan pled guilty. As you may recall, Ms. Farah was the owner of Smart Therapy LLC, a Minneapolis-based autism clinic. Through her clinic, she participated in both a scheme to defraud the EIDBI program, as well as a scheme to fraudulently obtain federal child nutrition program funds under the sponsorship of Feeding Our Future. Through these fraud schemes, Ms. Hassan received more than $14 million in Medicaid payments and more than $450,000 in federal child nutrition program funds, of which she sent at least hundreds of thousands of dollars to Kenya, which were used to purchase real estate. Now this morning, that's the EIDBI program. This morning, we also executed a search warrant related to investigation into another Medicaid program here in Minnesota, a state Medicaid program called Integrated Community Supports, or ICS. ICS was a program that started in 2021 here in the state of Minnesota. It was designed to help people with disabilities live more independently in the community with assistance, with one-on-one help with health issues, safety, and other household tasks to allow them to live in the community as opposed to in an institution. Through this program, providers obtain apartments in which their ICS clients can live. In theory, the providers are supposedly giving daily assistance to those clients to help them live independently in the community. That assistance can include community participation, helping them get out and about in the community, helping them with household management, setting up medical appointments, and issues with household safety and day-to-day safety. In reality, what the investigation has shown is that many ICS providers did no such thing. Instead, they simply obtained apartments or condos, which they rented to people who they got qualified to receive ICS services, people with disabilities that would qualify them to receive ICS services, and then just put them in there and started billing. The ICS program would allow providers to bill hundreds of dollars a day for each ICS client that they had, often more than $100,000 or even $200,000 a year for each ICS client. But in reality, that's not what was happening. Now, this program, like the others, this ICS program saw a similar pattern of explosive growth in recent years. Since beginning in 2021, the first year that Minnesota offered Medicaid coverage for integrated community supports, it has grown from $4.6 million in 2021 to more than $170 million in 2024. And as you can see, the 2025 numbers were through September 30th, but they're on pace for nearly 180 million, despite the efforts to get a handle on the fraud in recent months here in Minnesota. In all, since 2021, Medicaid has paid out more than $400 million to Minnesota providers of ICS support services. Now, this pattern you see on the board is very similar to ones you might be familiar with in these other investigations. You see that explosive, even exponential growth. The housing stabilization services, which also started in 2021, has a similar pattern of growth. It just kept growing and growing and growing each year. And again, this program was estimated to cost $2.5 million a year. But the data from the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services show that it costs significantly more than that. And in fact, housing stabilization has cost more than $300 million since 2021. The EIDBI autism program has a similar pattern. It's cost the state more than $1 billion since starting in 2018, or it's cost Medicaid more than $1 billion, and has grown, as you can see, every year significantly larger. And of course, the original scheme that started all this was Feeding Our Future and the Federal Child Nutrition Program. And as you can see here, a similar pattern of explosive growth. I want to talk a little generally about the investigation and the scope. I know there's been a lot of questions recently about the scope of the fraud and the amount.
I can tell you right now, somebody going to jail, damn it. It ain't no way in hell. It ain't no way in hell they can feeding our children's future. That's how it all started. And then got into Medicare and Medicaid. And now we're finding out that 75% of the Minnesota's population of Somalians are on welfare. This is egregious. Somebody thought that they were smarter than a fifth grader. Somebody in the city of Minnesota thought that they were smarter than a fifth grader. There ain't no way in the world that this is going to go unpunished. I'm telling you right now, they're going to slam the door. They're going to bring down the sledgehammer. And I'm telling you, with no remorse because of this, they're going to bring down the sledgehammer. I'm telling you. And all it's going to do is just going to make it harder. All of these people to remain, especially immigrants. It's going to make it harder for them to get in this country and get in this country legally, especially with somebody like Donald Trump in office. I mean, damn, you come in here and then it's just nothing worse to them than somebody stealing from them. If you want to get their attention, take their money. Damn it, they're going to put the spotlight on you, and guess what? They're going to make an example out of somebody. Promise you, they're going to make a sample out of somebody with this one because it went on for so long. Do you see that the growth of some of those companies on that graph? I mean, they're explosions. They're explosions. That congresswoman in Minnesota, she's going to get charged. There's no way that this can happen without inside participation. No way.
The state in recent months has flagged 14 Medicaid programs as having significant fraud problems. For those 14 programs, which include the Housing Stabilization Services Program and the EIDBI Autism Program, the state's issued a payment suspension for 90 days. They've ordered a third-party audit of all providers in those programs, and they've even canceled the Housing Stabilization Services Program altogether. Now, these services...
Some homeowners are saving over $3,000 on full roof replacements right now. No catch, no gimmicks. Beeling Roofing expanded into new service areas, and we're working to fill our schedule. That's why we're offering limited time discounts in new zip.
There are many more. PCA services, adult day services, non-emergency medical transportation. Now, we've been talking for some months about the fraud problem in Minnesota, and I've always believed that if you speak the truth in a plain-spoken way, people can handle it. Minnesotans and taxpayers deserve to know the truth of the fraud. The fraud is not small. It isn't isolated. The magnitude cannot be overstated. What we see in Minnesota is not a handful of bad actors committing crimes. It's a staggering industrial scale fraud. It's swamping Minnesota and calling into question everything we know about our state. I spoke in the fall about the iceberg I saw ahead. Something's fraud that's much larger than what's been visible to the public. When I said that, it wasn't hyperbole or rhetoric, it was a warning. And today I want to talk and I want to show here a sense of what that iceberg looks like, because I think people deserve to know what that is and how big this problem is, because we can't solve the problem until we grapple with the size of it. So the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services pulled the claims data for these 14 programs dating back to 2018. And those 14 programs in Minnesota have cost $18 billion since 2018, more than $3.5 billion in 2024 alone. So that's a sense of the magnitude of the problem. These are the 14 Medicaid programs, which is just a part of Medicaid, these waivered services that have been flagged as having issues with program integrity and fraud. Now, I'm sure everyone is wondering how much of this $18 billion was fraud. That's not the $1 million question. That's the $18 billion question. The answer is far too much. And the task ahead of all of us is not only figuring out how much of that money was fraud, because we know a significant amount was, but figuring out how to put an end to the fraud in our state and get control of it. So let me end with this before I take questions. The magnitude
Hold on. Let me speak for you before you speak. Let me tell you something. Minnesota, what the hell are y'all doing? You know what Minnesota is reminding me of right now? If somebody can steal $18 billion and come in through Minnesota, that's like in today's society in 2025 with 2026 upon us, somebody leaving their front door open in the middle of the night in the city because you're allowing people to come in your house to get sugar or bread. In the middle of the night, they just coming in, they're going to get sugar and they're going to get bread. You left your door wide open. You don't lock your doors. In the middle of the city. This is what Minnesota's reminding me of right now. And guess what, y'all? I'm waiting to hear this word. And I want y'all to listen to me closely. I'm waiting to hear this on the next report that Canada was involved. Canadian residents. I'm waiting to hear that. I'm waiting to hear that there's some Canadians involved in this as well. They haven't said it yet, but I'm just waiting to hear if some of this stuff goes into that country as well. Minnesota, I don't know what they got going on up there, but this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. That's enough money to take care of a small country, man. You can start a whole country up with that kind of money and have a military. That's a lot of money, man. You can build a whole nation up like that. How it got to that much money, I'll never know. Feed our kids' future and then Medicaid and the housing stabilization unit. Like, what? 75% of the people on welfare? This is awful. It's stealing at its high. This is thievery at its highest level, man. I'm going to tell you something right now. These people don't know who they have in office. That man is from Atlantic City. He had casinos. You can't steal from the house. Man, I'm telling you, man, everything happens for a reason. If these people wanted to do this, this was the worst timing to ever do something like this with a president like this in office that knows and has been around casinos his entire life. And you're going to steal from the house? You're going to take house's money? No way. He is going to punish somebody. Somebody's getting punished for this. I'm telling you right now. First class citizen, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm telling you right now. Because this is what Minnesota did. It's just like them leaving their doors open in the middle of the night and say, listen, y'all can come and just get some sugar or get some bread. And maybe you need some milk. I'm going to bed. I'm going to go to sleep. 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on a weekend. It don't matter. I know when I wake up tomorrow, everything's going to be there. I'm going to act like I ain't see it. No. These people have no clue who's in office. You cannot do something like that. That's why Donald Trump seems very, very angry. And sounds like, and he's guaranteeing you. I'm telling you right now, there ain't nothing going to be able to stop him. He going to be on their ass because he know that he can't recoup that money. And it's going to be some shuffling around going on in Minnesota too. On the government side of things, some of those elected officials. And then they want people to stand down and $19 billion is missing from the kitty. $19 billion is missing from the kitty and you want people to stand down? No way. You talking to the wrong guy. That dude's from Atlantic City, Trump Towers, Trump Casino, Trump Hotel. Like, no, you cannot steal from the house. And these people don't know that. They come here and they don't know that kind of stuff, man. He going to make an example out of them. For sure.
Of the fraud in Minnesota cannot be overstated. It's staggering amounts of money that have been lost. But it's not just about the money that's been stolen and wasted. This is a problem that's caused all of us to question what kind of state we live in. I think it's eroded our sense of collective statewide self-esteem and confidence. It's caused a state, as I've said before, that has long taken pride in having a strong economy, good schools, beautiful lakes, mini parks, and a sense of community spirit and civic mindedness. This fraud really calls into question all of that. And I know that it's gone on, it's been allowed to go on far too long. And we need to do whatever we can to stop it in its tracks.
So think of it as like a TV ad with a catalog component where I can choose on the Roku app and immediately it's going to send me a.
Thank you.
Joel, can you give us a bare minimum of how much of that $18 billion you suspect will turn out to be fraud?
I think a significant portion.
Joe, could you talk about how much you have charged in court connected to fraud you've uncovered? What's the dollar amount of that?
Well, we prosecute people, not dollars. Feeding Our Future, Amy Bach, the head of Feeding Our Future, was convicted of carrying out a $240 to $250 million fraud scheme. Several other defendants that were charged in what we call collectively as the Feeding Our Future case were actually not under the sponsorship of Feeding Our Future. So the very first quote unquote Feeding Our Future trial was actually a group of individuals that owned Empire Cuisine and Market and other related companies. They carried out a $49 million fraud, almost all of which was under the sponsorship of another entity. Similarly, a case called United States versus Haji Salad, which charged 7 or 8 defendants with carrying out a $25 million fraud scheme under the sponsorship of Partners in Nutrition. So you do the math, $250 million plus 50 million plus 25 million. That's well into the 300 millions just in the federal child nutrition program fraud scheme. These other programs here, housing stabilization, autism now between 6 and 14, that's $20 million that's charged in the autism program so far. Housing stabilization, I haven't done the math, but it's well over 10 that's charged now. And obviously that's just this team's efforts. There's other prosecutions going on that have been flagged for many people. Evergreen Recovery is a case you may recall that I think was $30 million involving rehabilitation or drug and alcohol treatment. So it's a significant amount.
Joe, Asha Hassan, how many people like Asha Hassan fit into 2 buckets?
Well, Asha Hassan's the one that's been charged with and now convicted of both buckets, but many defendants in these cases were getting money from multiple government benefit programs, many Medicaid programs. This is how these investigations grew out of Feeding Our Future. I think roughly 24 or so Feeding Our Future defendants were getting money from autism clinics. And that's why we got caught. That's how we learned about the autism fraud. And if you look at the bank records, many of which were admitted into evidence at trial, you'll see many other healthcare companies from which charged defendants.
Listen, he got this smile on his face. He got this smirk on his face like damn, they got us. Like, you listen, I know Donald Trump, this is not going to sit well with him. I'm telling you now, it's just too much money. Couple $100,000, they may have been able to turn the cheek. A couple of million, 50, 60, 70 million. They may have been able to say, hey, okay, but billions? Oh no, that's personal. Oh, that's personal. That's going to make them people come out the woodworks with everything they got. Listen, if you're standing up there right now trying to defend this, listen, the United States of America, they may be, wrong on a lot of things. And they may be, a lot of things, it may be propaganda. But when it come to this money, they ain't talking no propaganda. It's spot on. They know all the way down to the very last cent. They're not playing around. They're not sitting up here trying to make up numbers. They have no reason to be out here, just glorifying these fraudulent numbers, because there ain't nothing in Somalia that they can even recoup or that they want. There's nothing. They have no reason to even go there. I bet you every red penny that they're talking about right now of that $1 billion is actual factual. And they know that they can't recover it because it's too much. And they don't like it. Yes, first class citizen. Yes. I'm telling you right now, you can't steal the money from the kitty. You cannot do it. And the only people would do something like that is somebody that come here and don't know the situation. You're comfortable and you don't know how things go here. You think just because you was doing it for a little bit, you think nobody's watching. No. They watching you and they waiting for you to get down the road. So when they come to get you, they coming to get you. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you how diabolical the United States of America can be. Politically speaking, the United States of America could have known that this was going on 2-3 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. They might have let it go on for another year because the person that they really want to get out of office or out of your political forum, they may have waited just long enough so where this thing can build up big enough to get you out of there because you've been being a problem for a long time. And then they just dropped it on everybody saying, look what this dude doing. $18 billion he lost to the point where we can't even argue it. If you're a Minnesota resident, you can't even debate this. It's not even a topic of discussion. You're sitting at the dinner table in Minnesota in 33 feet of snow talking about this guy got to go. Like, there's not even an excuse. I can't even find an excuse for this guy at all. There's no excuse. No excuse for anybody that's inside of Minnesota right now that had anything to do with this. This obviously was it was on a large scale, so it has many different players involved in it. It has to. It has to. But at the end of the day, who has to pay for these things? The taxpayers. The taxpayers. Minnesota's in trouble. Minnesota's in some very serious trouble, man. I'm telling you.
And convicted defendants were receiving funds.
And when we talk about defendants, like I was in court for her sentencing or plea today, and the government talked about somewhere between $9 and $25 million. She'd be, was on her shoulders, her smart therapy, restitution coming in at 15.9 million. These numbers are all over the place. Can you explain why it's 9 to 25 and we're 7?
Well, 9 to 25 is the sentencing guideline range. There's an enhancement based on the loss amount, and one of the sort of windows of loss amount is between 9 million and 25 million. So that's just a product of how the sentencing guidelines are. The 14 or whatever million she owes, that's a combination of the money she fraudulently received from the EIDTI program and the federal child nutrition program. Again, normally often media will ask about the loss amount or how much have you prosecuted. When we prosecute people, not dollars. Our forensic accountants can answer some of this, but we're focused mostly on not only charging defendants. The reason we charge defendants is to stop them from committing fraud. So housing stabilization, maybe we've charged $10 or $15 million worth of fraud in terms of those individual defendants. But of course, the state shut down the program that was costing more than $100 million a year. So does the prosecutor get credit for that? That's for other people to decide.
So can you confirm that the portion to get to where you are today? How long is it going to take to get to $1 billion or $2 billion? A year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years?
As long as it takes.
Just I wanted to confirm the 14 programs that have been designated as being at high risk. These are now programs that the federal law enforcement agencies are actively investigating, correct?
Yes, we're looking into all those programs. Yes.
And as you look across the country, are there any other examples where the cost of Medicaid-funded programs saw this kind of exponential growth? Is Minnesota clearly an outlier when you look at spending on these programs across the board?
I think we're an outlier in a bad way. Yes. Have I gone through every 50 state? No, but you don't see fraud on this scale in other states. And part of that is just we sit here as a team, and it's a relatively small team or a relatively small U.S. Attorney's Office, and every day we look under a rock and find a new $50 fraud, $50 million fraud scheme. That shouldn't be the case in a state of our size. Certainly, other states have problem with frauds, but I think our problem is unique insofar as we just opened the door. What we aren't seeing here, traditional Medicare or Medicaid fraud is people overbilling, upcoding. So you're instead of billing for a service with a relatively modest reimbursement, you claim to be providing a higher dollar value service, and you get more Medicaid payments or reimbursements that you should be entitled to. That's traditional. You maybe getting 20% more. You're padding your bills. What we see here, and what I think is unique to Minnesota, is that's not what we're looking at. What we're seeing is programs that are just entirely fraudulent. These aren't companies that are providing some services but overbilling Medicare or Medicaid. These are companies that are providing essentially no services. They're essentially shell companies created to defraud the program, created to submit on a wholesale level fraudulent claims for services that aren't necessary and aren't provided. I think that's unique to Minnesota.
Which programs are the worst after you've looked at these? Which ones, which ones have the most fraud in it? Which are the biggest?
Well, Feeding Our Future obviously was entirely fraudulent. Essentially, it's hard to say. EIDBI is an incredibly lucrative program. Some of these other ones are quite large. I think the PCA program is over $1 billion and a half dollars a year alone. So I think there's a significant amount of fraud in that program. Which is worse? I think that's a normative statement, a value statement that I'll leave to others.
This is 18 billion over how long? 18 over how long?
Since 2018.
Since 2018.
Yes.
Could you talk about the funds that were sent out of the country? There's been a lot of concern about that in other cases in regards to the money sent to Kenya.
Yes, there's a significant amount of money sent abroad, mostly to East Africa, much of it to Kenya and to Nairobi. That the money that we've traced, most of it has been used to purchase real estate in Nairobi, where there's a large Somali diaspora. So we've traced much of it. In fact, the first trial, United States versus Abdiaziz Farah, we had days and days of evidence showing the money that was sent to Nairobi and the real estate purchases that they made there, including the construction of an entire 10 or 12-story apartment building.
Didn't I tell y'all? Didn't I tell y'all? Didn't I tell you? You can you can start a whole country. You can start a whole country with that type of money. You can start a whole country with that type of cash. So I'm just telling you, somebody's going to jail. That's a lot of money. It's not a small amount of money. And where's it going? Right to Northeast Africa. Kenya, Nairobi. And I'm telling you, man, this is nothing short of, I can tell you right now that pretty soon they're going to have this type of fraud and they're going to view it as an act of war. I'm telling you right now. They're going to view these kind of things as acts of war, man. That's not no small change, man. That's like you going in the bank and taking somebody's money. I'm telling you.
But you haven't uncovered anything that shows that these funds were funding terrorism.
Correct. Well, there's no indication that the defendants that we've charged were radicalized or seeking to fund Al-Shabaab or other terrorist groups. Some money went to Somalia. Indirectly, some money might have gotten to the hands of Al-Shabaab, which controls significant parts of Somalia and imposes a tax there. So that's a little more nuanced than there's no indication that defendants were sending money to terrorist organizations or were supporting terrorist organizations in that way.
But they damn sure looking at it.
It's going to take more than just prosecutors, that's for sure. I mean, we're prosecuting what we can. This is far beyond the capability of a group of prosecutors and law enforcement agents, although we're working around the clock. And
What did I tell y'all? What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you that that's way bigger than that district attorney's office in Minnesota? Way bigger. I told you. And they're working around the clock. They're working today and they're working tomorrow. There's no celebration for them. They're going into 2026 working. There ain't gonna be a day, ain't gonna be a minute off for them this holiday. None. This is bigger than that district attorney's office in Minnesota. They're gonna be working well into 2026. This is large. It's huge. And I'm telling you, Donald Trump's going to make an example out of somebody.
Hopefully we're getting some reinforcements. But, a lot of this is going to have to come down to regulators and other people looking into the problem and stopping the flow of money, which has overwhelmed our system and overwhelmed our ability to prosecute.
You're obviously looking a lot at what happened in the past, but looking forward, how confident are you in the measures that are being taken right now by Minnesota lawmakers to prevent more fraud from happening?
Well, I'll let them decide whether their efforts. I'll say this: I'm heartened by the fact that people are paying attention and trying to stop it. Obviously, we prosecute backwards crimes that have happened. That's how it works. And I think we've been clear that we can't prosecute our way out of it. I'm glad that people are taking it seriously and trying to shut off the faucet of funds that are flowing out to these fraudulent entities. Yes, AJ. Yes.
Is there any indication that this company even had an office here in Minnesota?
They did rent an office, although I'm not sure how active it was. My understanding is they lived in Philadelphia and they came here to enroll patients, and then whatever forms they submitted from their homes in Philadelphia.
No indication that there were employees working there while they were there.
No.
The question about the lawmakers and partnerships there. You talked about the partnership in the office with the U.S. House Fraud Prevention Oversight Committee, and whether you believe that committee should also be handing over whistleblower complaints to state
I can't comment on that.
Can you say how many entities roughly in these $18 billion programs you guys do have active investigations on, and sort of what the suspected fraud is among those entities that you're currently
I can't comment on which entities we're investigating specifically.
I'm not asking for specifics on names. I'm just talking about numbers. You say you were investigating dozens or whatever. Can you put any kind of numbers on?
No.
In court today, we said that Asha Hassan owes $15 million in restitution. Realistically, how much money are you going to get back?
Well, it depends. It's defendant by defendant. We seize assets from many people. If they have money in bank accounts, we're very aggressive in seizing those funds. If they purchase real estate, especially if they purchased it without financing, we're very aggressive in getting that property back, and we can liquidate it and use to pay off. In the Feeding Our Future case, for example, I think we're somewhere between $60 and $70 million that we've recovered. About $30 million of that is cash or liquid money seized from bank accounts. The rest is a combination of real estate and cars. How much money we'll get out of that will depend at the end of the day. But there's many multi-million-dollar properties that were purchased outright with no financing, no mortgage, and so we're going to get a considerable amount back in that. Otherwise, it's case by case. Yes.
When you say 18 billion, the programs cost 18 billion, are you saying across the state?
Medicaid, those Medicaid funds.
Yes. I know the Autism Center investigation stemmed from Feeding Our Future and seeing some of those same defendant names come up. To what extent do you think these 14 programs, these people who are committing fraud, are billing multiple programs across Minnesota to get as much as they can out of the state?
Many are. Most individuals that we've investigated and charged, if you look on Open Corporate, say the website, you'll see that they have multiple healthcare entities, almost each of which seems to be created to bill a specific Medicaid program, usually one of the 14. That's a significant red flag. Normal medical professional wouldn't operate that way.
Just to piggyback that, is that a clear sign of fraud, or are there legitimate people out there in Minnesota that have an autism center and an ICS business?
I mean, they certainly, you could do it legitimately. That's just not what we've seen. And I don't think our problem is we're casting unfair aspersions on legitimate medical providers here. That's not been what I've seen when we've investigated.
Can you talk about the statute?
This is the first time we're hearing about ICS and those search warrants today. Could you talk about the scope of the investigation now? How many providers are you looking at?
We're going to look at the program holistically. And so I don't want to give away our details and like how we target individual providers, but we'll be as comprehensive as we possibly can be.
Can you talk about the statute of limitation in these Medicaid cases? Given the volume of money, you're looking at the number of players. Are you working against the clock in terms of having the opportunity to charge a finite number of people before you run into the statute of limitation issue?
Well, the standard statute of limitations is 5 years, so that's a long time. But in 5 years that'll become an issue.
When do you expect charges in the ICS?
We'll see. I don't know.
There have been other investigations reporting of similar alleged Medicaid fraud in other states like Maine. Is there any connection there? And are you working with other states to see if there are any kind of connections?
We have our hands full here in Minnesota, so I've seen those reports and I wish them well in the District of Maine.
You kind of casually mentioned that perhaps you would get backup for these investigations a few moments ago. Is that to say that the Department of Justice is going to send more prosecutors to help this up? You said it was a pretty small office and you've got a big problem on your hands.
Fingers crossed. We'll see. It's easier said than done. I don't know. SG's warm today, but in January, we'll see if people want to come from Florida and DC to help out. But I'm hopeful. I will say this: the department is been incredibly supportive at the highest levels of the Department of Justice, and they've said they'll get whatever we need to work this aggressively. Obviously, I know we have the best team in the business. I think our results speak for itself, and we're going to continue working around the clock. Scott.
Joe, can you say anything about whether the ethnic cast of characters in the uncharged cases we're investigating resembles the cast in the charged cases that you have taken to trial and convicted and gotten pleas in?
Generally, yes, it does.
Are among the $18 billion, I know you said it's a significant amount that is fraud. Is it a majority? Is it up to half? How much of it is legitimate?
Excuse me? What are you doing?
I'm taking
All
photos
of
of
it.
books.
Why are you taking pictures of books?
I have this app that can read anything out loud to me.
What do you mean?
Here, look.
As I sit here with one foot on either side of the ledge. Wait.
I'm saying all of it's legitimate. And damn it, I'm saying that somebody is going to jail. It's going to be more than one. Somebody is going to take one for the team. I don't give a damn. And y'all already know with all of these witnesses right here, there's going to be so many people that talk. There's going to be so many people that talk, man. I'm telling you right now. I bet you so many people right now trying to cop pleas. And so many people right now willing to take a plea agreement right now, it's going to be ridiculous. They're going to freeze all type of assets. There's some people's lives that have come to an end from this right now. So many people, the assets are frozen. All assets are frozen. Come the new year, there's not going to be no money anywhere. Your assets are frozen. You can't get in your car. They put a big lock on your home. All your Christmas gifts under the tree. You can't, don't even open presents. Because Donald Trump going to want that money back. I'm telling you right now. This was a bad move right here. I don't know who tried to put this thing together, but this was bad to do. Bad thing to do. Wasn't smart. Now, why you living here? Not inside of here. That ain't a good thing. Now, if you were somewhere else and this was being done over the computer and you couldn't be touched and this, that, and the third, then I would get it. But no, you do not take from the house and you living right here. They are coming down there to see you. Not smart.
I don't make these generalizations in a hasty way. So when I say a significant amount, I'm talking on the order of half or more. But we'll see. When I look at the claims data and the providers, I see more red flags than I see legitimate providers.
Ooh.
And overwhelmingly so.
So you're saying you have reason to believe more than half of that $18 billion likely represents fraud?
I'm saying that's very possible, yes.
Is there a win writing legal responsibility falls on anyone in state government for allowing this to happen? And I mean, is the reason that there's this extent of fraud because of the way Minnesota handles benefits?
Well, I think it's fair to say, and everyone's been saying, I've said it before.
Let me tell you something. You see that guy to the right? Y'all see that kid to the right? That boy to the right, he look like he in mathematics? Don't he look like he know math? Don't he look like your CSA, your CPA? Don't he look like he just take care of your taxes? Don't he look like he the guy that takes care of your taxes? Make sure your money's going in the right place. Don't he look like that guy? He look like he ready to go to work. I bet he got a shovel behind him because he ready to dig up some shit. Man, I don't care. He says just by the naked eye, he sees that half of it is fraud. So we starting at 9 billion. They said 18. So they working off of 9. You already 9 billion in the hole. You're 9 billion in the red. Anything after that, you 9 billion on house money, man. Y'all already know it's about to happen, man. Y'all already know. This is the United States of America. They ain't playing around when it comes to no finances.
That our state has done not a good job of minding these programs in terms of responsibility. There's lots of levels of responsibility. There's criminal culpability, obviously, and then there's other accountability. And then obviously, I think all of us as a state have to grapple with that. And that's not just prosecutors and law enforcement agents, but regulators and politicians and news media, community leaders. And I think that process, that conversation is starting to happen. And I hope it continues to.
A lot of these fraud cases in other states have generated people in state roles who are explicit in the crime. I mean, tips from, say, the House, not the U.S., but the state House fraud committee or anybody at the state level who's now generating some casework for you.
The question, I should be repeating the questions here. The question was, are we getting tips from the state House committee and other people? We get tips from all sorts of sources and we follow them up as we get them.
So you're rattling off some of the clawback dollar amount here, the more firm number total that the government's been able to claw back through these cases?
Well, it's hard because a lot of it's real estate, and I'm not an expert at valuing real estate, especially commercial real estate. It's not as simple as Zillow when you're talking about, for example, the 300 block of East Lake Street that we have a Liz Pendens on and we're seizing as part of the Feeding Our Future investigation. I think they bought it for $2.8 or $2.5 million. You know, I can't tell you how much that's worth sitting here today. You need there's experts that do that, appraisers, and that'll happen in the normal course. We can't seize real estate assets and sell them, liquidate them until a judgment of conviction is final. So that's after sentencing. So that process is ongoing.
Hey.
This is how we grew our podcast to over 10,000 listeners without spending hours editing each week. First, look up Riverside.
That's enough to make you sick right there. That's enough to make you sick right there. I mean, when you hear that, I don't even care. It's what they're going to do to you. Jail's not even is the thing that's going to hurt. When they start talking about liquidation and liquidating things, or your home, your motorcycle, your boat, your mom's house, your dog, the cat, everything's getting liquidated. Everything's getting liquidated. And then from there, if you can't even cover the cost, you're going to owe them for the rest of your life. Everything that you even accomplish from here on out, even when you get out, you're going to owe them money. Even when you get out, you're going to owe them money. You're going to be on child support, on steroids. You're going to be on child support on steroids until they can't collect another penny from you. Everything all your income tax, all your returns, everything. everything. I believe I believe that they can even take your inheritance. I believe in a case like this, I believe that that's even on the table. Even if you have something coming to you.
There are real programs, and the housing stabilization is a great example. You know, Medicaid fraud cases need real beneficiaries. You got to have a Medicaid number, a Social Security number, and they have to qualify. Sometimes people are being qualified for services that they don't need. But in many cases, and the housing stabilization program is a great example of this, many of those individuals needed help finding stable housing. They were leaving drug or alcohol treatment centers. They needed a place to live. They needed help. They were enrolled in these services that they not only needed, but they wanted, they thought they were going to get, and they didn't get it. And they weren't, instead of having someone help them find stable housing, they didn't get that at all. And there's a real human cost to that. You know, more generally, these are 14 programs, and I'm not a healthcare professional, but I'm sure if a healthcare professional is standing here, they might tell you about some of the important work that some of these programs are doing. And there's real need. I assume these programs were created because there was real need in the community for some of these things.
Yeah, tell the Cubans we said thank you. We jacked you. Thank you, Cubans. now, goodbye. Tell them I said thank you. We here now, and they're not.
You know, recuperative care, autism services, autism spectrum disorder is a big issue in the United States, and I know many people that have children with ASD need services. It's a real challenging situation. Fraud on this scale puts all of those programs at risk, and there's real patients, real clients, real people who need services and aren't getting them. And I think these fraud investigations, the level of fraud we have, put at risk all of those programs and lead to the question of, can we even
Incredible
have this stuff
fraud.
at all?
Incredible fraud. It's fraud on steroids. The deportation is going to be taken care of seriously. This deportation, I mean, my vote's changing. My vote is going to be changing soon.
I can't comment on what they did. I mean, obviously the state hasn't done a great job, but hopefully they're changing in how we do this. You know, I think people had good intentions, at least at start with some of these programs, but not, I think the regulatory mindset maybe wasn't there in the way it should have been. I can't comment on defendants that were or individuals were investigating that haven't been charged yet. We are working as hard as we can to address the fraud program in the only way that we're able to, which is charging defendants for seizing their assets. And so I would expect to see.
They just don't know. When he starts talking that right there, guys. Listen, when he starts talking about seizing assets, man. Listen, when they love this part, y'all. They love this part. When they start talking about seizing assets, you don't understand. One thing about the United States of America is when they start seizing assets, it don't stop. It don't stop. They're gonna get your stuff. They're gonna get your mom's stuff. They're gonna get your sister's stuff. They're gonna get stuff from everybody they can until they recoup their money. It's like a in debt card, right? For the rest of your life. And maybe another generation. So when you steal from them and you take their money, they're going to do whatever they see. You don't understand one thing about the United States. Is this why they have death certificates? You understand what I'm saying? This is why they get those type of things, because when you go through to that situation, which everybody has to do, you may be entitled to something, but your family now may be responsible for your debt, your entire lineage. You don't understand. The United States is bulletproof when it comes to that kind of thing. Their finances, they have the best mathematicians in the world. It's structured. It's the best structure in the world. So you are going to be paying them out the wazoo until you can't pay them no more. And you may not even see it now. This is why this country been around for so long, the way it is. It's because they're going to get money from the next person. This is why you don't own anything in this country. You pay taxes on everything. You go to one of those game shows on television and you win a car, you can't get that car until you pay the taxes on it. You see somebody on Price is Right and they want a brand new car and they can't even drive it home because they got to pay taxes on it. It's a beautiful system. And they're going to make an example out of somebody. I'm telling you, they're about to get the deportation. They're about to start deporting people like crazy. You don't rob the house. This is one of them. You done messed around and done found out. You done messed around and found out. And I'm telling you, they're going to ramp this shit up. They're going to ramp this shit up. And in the meantime, in between time, I mean, shit, FBA gets a little break from the police. They too busy doing other shit. They too busy doing other things. I mean, damn. I mean, listen, all we've been doing is fighting. All we've been doing is fighting. But they get a little relief now, a little break because they over there doing something else. See, these people that come here, they have no clue how to move. They have no clue. This is why they hand out green cards. And this is why they tell you your status here and your family status here is only temporary. If you do this, we're going to send you back to wherever it is you came from. That's what they do. They say, I'm going to send you back to wherever it is you came from. They don't care anything about the money you have or your last name. They don't care about none of that. They say, if you come here, if you do something wrong, we're going to send your ass back. And I'm telling you, they're going to make an example. They're going to ramp this shit up. They're going to ramp this shit up, and it's going to get bad out there. And the worst part about it is that these people don't know how to deal in a situation like this, like our ancestors did in the FBA. They have no clue how to move. The clergy's not dealing with them. All right, they're just off to themselves. They stay off to themselves and be off to themselves, and they think that they can come and just imitate some of the things we did, and without knowing that, that shit was pre-planned. It was schematics to go to that thing. And now they're in a situation, and I don't even know how foundational Black Americans feel about this situation on a political level, but I damn sure know how they feel about it on a personal level. If they feel like like they're not if they feel like there's no really relationship there or there's really no understanding there, they damn sure not going to bat for nobody, which they have for a very long time. You know what I mean? These people, that come here right now, they have no clue. It's like I believe that these things happen for a reason, because if you can come here to this country and you don't understand what the 1960 civil rights movement was about, these type of things happen to you. And it's going to be, it's awful. I advise everybody out there to take a course on that. Everybody. Especially if you come to this country and you're not familiar with it, you need to take a step back. Everything's jokes. The people, and let me tell y'all something. Let me just tell you this, right? Let me tell you this. Let me tell you how we think over here, right? A racist to us is a weak emotion. It's like childish behavior to us. It's like, you know what I mean? That's how we look at it over here. Like, it's almost like dealing with somebody on a 2-year-old level when we know that it's just envy and jealousy. They either don't have, large manhood downstairs, which is why they don't want to see the Black men with various type of women and stuff like that. They can't please they feel like they come up short. So the only thing that they can do, just think about what it takes in a man's mind. Think about what it takes in a man's mind to just, who just think about it, right? What would it take for a man to sit around and come up and think about things about another man or something like that? It's like an inferiority, right? When you're trying to convince them because you're not convinced yourself. So it's like, these people know that they're great. They know that they dominate in everything. Boxing, basketball, football, basketball. I mean, you name it, right? But the only way when a person is intimidated by that and they feel inferior, they go to other things. Guess what it is? Words, insults, things that make no sense other than you must be having an issue at home, probably not married, or their woman left them for somebody, or they got teased when they was in high school or some shit, or they just don't look good in their clothes. It's some type of weakness. That's how you look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like I've had several discussions with like my with people that I know that are close to me and around me, and they just can't believe the well, they do believe, but they look at it like it's a weakness. They like saying like, yo, can you imagine being like that? Like I'm like, and then I thought about it, I was like, hell no, I couldn't. Because I don't see myself sitting around being jealous of another man or another person from somewhere or envy them or envy what they got or what they have. I just don't see it. But for an individual to be to that point to where they feel as though that's something that they got it, that they invest in it. That's because they coming up short. I don't care. Most times it's in the bed. Most time things like that are in the bedroom or just like somewhere to where they see these people and they like, yo, I hate them people right there. They don't say why. They just say, I hate them people right there. And it's because they come up short in more ways than one, not just intellectually, but physically. They come up short. They can't do nothing else but like try to hold people back. You gotta do something to hold them back, and then you want to tell them something as if they're gonna believe in it. Like they try to convince you because they can try to convince themselves, and that's what makes it so crazy. I've seen it on several different occasions. I've seen men, I should say, men that they'll be watching you. Like I seen this one kid one day, right? And he was talking to this lady. And I was like, yo, the woman that he was talking to, she couldn't take her eyes off of him. She couldn't take her eyes off of him. But a little did I know, it was like guys that was like attracted to her. That was attracted to her. Now this was a mixed conversation. He was black and I believe she was white. She looked white anyway. But they couldn't take their eyes off of the conversation he was having because she was talking to him and she was dressed up, and he looked like he was just, I don't know where he came from, but he wasn't, he was just a regular guy. But the conversation that they was having, it was so fly that all she was doing was smiling the whole time. And I looked over to the side, right? And I saw these dudes over there and they was just, if he would have turned around and felt that heat coming off his neck, right? But I was looking, right? So what did I do, right? I said, okay, he don't see this shit going on. So I was like, I'm gonna just sit here and just make sure he's cool, right? Because I was watching, they was watching him and I was watching them. And I said, if they even think about saying something to him, because he was like kind of younger. He was kind of younger. So I didn't know, I was like, I'm gonna sit right here and I'm gonna watch. And I was like, if they say something to him over some jealousy, over something like crazy, watch what happened. Watch what happened. Because that's a weak emotion. That's a weak emotion. That comes from somewhere like their parents raised them to where they feel inferior. Where they feel inferior. When a person is like that, they feel inferior. It's an inferiority complex. It is an absolute inferiority complex. And people that they can't get along in society without, just with feeling like that. So they feel as though that they got to go out and do something and it's a learned behavior. Their parents probably did the same thing. Their parents probably was probably raised the same way. You know what I mean? And it's you come outside with a weak. Let me just tell you something. It's embarrassing because the one thing that I think about, right, when I see a person like that as well, is I was like, yo, their parents must be, POSs. Because how can you send your child out in the public like with those type of thoughts? How can you send your parent, how can you send them out there with those type of thoughts? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's like really, really, really weird. It's like a weird thing. We do not think like that. Like when I was growing up and stuff like that, we was never jealous of nobody. The only people that even had things that was around us like that was like, was Caucasian people. But we never envied, we were never jealous of them like that. We was never jealous of them like that. It was like kind of crazy. Like, it's crazy to come to me and tell me something like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't tell me nothing about who I am. Like, I mean, nothing. You might as well save your breath. Don't try to tell me anything about who I am. They out here selling melanin out here on the market right now. They out here selling melanin. So you just think about that, right? These people out here getting implants in their asses, right? And they out here getting halogen put inside of their lips. These people are absolutely trying to, to replicate things. Like when you're doing things like that, like it's crazy. Who sells melanin? Like you know how expensive that shit is? That's something that I produce naturally. I produce that naturally. Not everybody has it. I produce it naturally. And then when you go out on the market, it's like, yo, you think about it for a second. You sit back, you be like, wait a minute. They sell this shit? They sell these things? But this is where we are in the world. This is where we are in the world. And I'm telling you, it's a weak emotion. When you go and you see a person, when you go and you see a person around like that, and you see a person around like that says that, and that's so involved and like, I'm just talking about just absorbed. When you see a person that is absorbed in those kind of things, I'm telling you right now, it was something that happened to them in their childhood. Something happened to them in their childhood somewhere. And it's like they can't get over it. It's like, I don't know if their mom, I don't know what it was. Something happened to them. They might have been beat by their dad. Something happened to them in there because no parent, right? No good parents send their kids out in the world thinking like that. No good parents do that. See, when you have, it's people that have pride, right? But when you come out with some of these people with these weak emotions, yeah, listen, it's just different. All I see is jealousy. I'm gonna tell you right now. I've never been in any room where I feel uncomfortable. I don't feel like nobody look better than me. I don't feel like nobody dressed better than me. I don't feel like nobody's stronger than me. I don't feel like nobody's smarter than me. And I damn sure don't feel like anybody in there gonna whip my ass. I mean, none of that is on the board. None of that is on the board. When I walk, I stand on my square. It ain't nothing you can tell me, nothing, zilch. And I've never had it. I've never had it happen to me. I'll be sitting back and watching, be like, yo, there's a lot of shit be happening in the world, but that's never happened to me like that. And if it ever did, it's happening right there on the spot. It's happening right there on the spot. It's going down right there on the spot. I don't care what happened. Win, lose, or draw. That's how I was raised. You win, lose, or draw, but you got it. It's something gonna happen. Because it's like somebody didn't teach you. Somebody should have taught you something before you came outside like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't. I would never do that because it's weak. Like, I would feel weak as shit if I was to just be like downing people like that. Like, I see all people, like, I be loving on all people. I be like, yo, because I don't feel no envy from them. I don't care what it is. They may have some good food. They may have some good whatever, but I don't feel no envy towards them, like, or jealousy, because they all come with their special traits. Like, if just say, for example, an Italian. Let me give you an example. Say, for example, an Italian, whatever, right? Italians make good food. They make good clothing. They make good furniture. They got something good that comes from them. I don't envy them. Like, I don't want to, I'm not giving up my melanin. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm not giving up my melanin for something like that. You gotta love your own gotta love this, that, and the third. But anybody else that's around like that, I'm telling you right now, the only thing that I'm talking about, the people that I know, they know that that's a weak emotion. They be like, yo, that's a weakness right there. So they be looking like, yo, it's something they already know. And then they just go down the ladder. They be like, yo, either this person was like, maybe he was touched by somebody when he was a kid, or her. Maybe something happened. Maybe they was getting smacked up in the house or something like that. Or maybe when they went to school, they was getting picked on, or maybe they just jealous because they don't look like us. Maybe they want our melanin. Maybe they want our lips. Maybe they want our strength. Maybe they want something. Maybe they just want something. Or maybe they just can't survive on their own. So they got to eat off of somebody else's back. You never know. You never know. You never know where these things come from. But I can tell you this right now. If they walk outside with this thing and you see it, it is an absolute weak emotion. And it ain't cool to manhood. Yo, you can't be a full man. You cannot be a full man when you complain like a female. When you be whining like a woman. And that's no disrespect to women at all. But when you got a man that can sit back and talk just as much as your wife would be doing, or it's like the relationship with a man and a woman. It's like a relationship with a man and a woman. What is the normal things that men and women say with one another? A woman always has a to-do list for a man. That's just normal things. That's just normal thing. Not in today's, you know what I'm saying? Like not in today's world. In today's world, I'm just talking about a traditional relationship. This is not a knock on women. I repeat, this is not a knock on women. In a traditional relationship, it's like, if you got somebody that's chattering and complaining about the same things all the time, and this, that, and third, you know what I mean? And you're like, damn, like what is wrong? That's a weak emotion. So men in the locker room, we do not expect that. You are not supposed to have a jealous bone in your body. The way I was raised, it was like, if you're jealous of somebody, it's because you weak. It's because you weak. You can't protect nothing you got. You need 10, 15 people to stand on your square. You can't do it with these. You need, it is crazy. It is, and if you, and in my family, right, I was always taught, like, look, if you can't beat that mug right there, just leave him alone. Just leave him alone. Go on about your business and go that way. Or stop complaining. It is an absolute weakness. You jealous of something that you got to go fix. You jealous because guess how I know. Listen. This is how I know that what I say to be true. I'm talking about in my media circle, I don't ever see or hear them talking about, man, I want to be that. Or I hate them people because they got this, that, and the third. Listen, I'm just talking about this, right? I'm just talking about this. I'm going to see my boys tonight too. I'm talking about on a personal level. I've never heard my crew say, I don't like that dude because he got pretty hair, or he got small teeth, or some shit like I'm just talking about something crazy. Or the joke, or the like jokes, or like they don't joke about, like, I don't hear my boys saying something like, I don't know. It could be anything, man. Like just like dumb jokes that don't make any sense at all, right? My crew don't do that. They just don't do that because they don't envy those people. They not jealous of those people at all. It ain't nothing I can tell my boys to not think that they not kings. You know what I mean? Look, my boys think that they kings, man. I mean, look, they I ain't gonna lie. The people that I know, I can't tell them anything different. You know what I mean? They know who they are, and that's just that. It ain't nothing to words. It ain't nothing no piece of paper. It's nothing. They know who they are because inside they know who they feel. They know what they're capable of doing. They already know. They already know. So it's like the weirdest thing, man. And I'm telling you, anytime you see it, right? Anytime you see it, right? Watch this. I'm going to give you all an example. Hold on. Let me look in the chat real quick. I guarantee you that there's somebody in the chat doing more talking than anybody else. Hold on. With this topic. Hold on one second. Let me look in here. Let me see. Hold on. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell y'all? Didn't I tell you it'll be somebody in there writing like a book? Look at this conversation. Look how big this comment is. Look how big that comment is right there. That right there is trying to convince somebody with a whole bunch of spamming that of something that they probably don't know what they're talking about. Like, all right, let me read this comment. Let me read this comment real fast. Because I'm just curious. Like I said, the term Latino American is not the same as Latin. It's clear that you don't know the difference. Latinos, it's a pan-unity term like Pan-African is a unity term. Do y'all hear this? This is what we're talking about here. This is exactly what we're talking about here. It's a comparison. It's like a comparison to something. Like a comparison to what? What do you compare? What? Latin? What the? It's crazy, man. It's crazy. That's somebody trying to struggle into a conversation because you're struggling to say, mommy, me, pick me, mommy, pick me. I got a big bag too. That's what that's like. That's like the redheaded stepchild syndrome, y'all. That's the redheaded stepchild syndrome. When you come in here and you start talking about me, look at me. Look at me, mommy. That's a lot of information right there for something that we're talking about deportation. That's a lot of information. Let's see. Look, me, mommy. Look. Latino is a pan term of the Americas, which has nothing to do with Europe. What? So what? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? What do you mean it doesn't have anything to do with Europe? That's incredible. This is the me, mommy syndrome, everybody. This is the one this is what we're talking about. This is like the one that feels left out of the conversation. You know, it is when your parents like one child more than the other and one kid knows it. That's what this is like. Look at this conversation. Latino is the term that is meant to unite all the Americas who are descendants of the birth of the new world of the Americas. No, it is not. No, it is not. No, it is not. I notice how easily you left the Spaniards out of there. Okay? It was a conquistador thing going on. Okay? It was a divide and conquer thing going on. Okay? There was a whole lot going on up in there during that time. There was a whole lot. That's oh my goodness, man. It is like mommy, me, I did it. I look. That I'm just telling you, man. Listen, weak emotions do things like this. It's like you just got to try to put yourself into the situation. Sometimes you just got to go sit your ass down over there and just be quiet. That's sometimes what needs to happen. I mean, it don't make any sense. What is the point of this conversation right here? Can anybody tell me? What is the purpose of this? What is the purpose of this comment? I'm Puerto Rican, which means that Puerto Rico and USA is my homeland. Where? Which one? Which one? Which one? Which one is it? Which one? You can't have both. Which one? How that you listen, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. They don't look at you like that. It don't matter what you say. I'm telling you that they ain't gonna look at you like that. Look. Let me just tell you something. Let me just say something real quick, right? Let me just say something real quick. Hold on. Let me just say something real quick. Listen. Say something real quick. Yo, it's the me. I'm telling you. That's what it is. It's like, look. It's like, look me, mommy. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, they don't look at you like both. They don't look at you like both. I'm gonna tell you that right now. They conquered that land, but as far as citizenship here, they got rules and regulations. They got rules and regulations for here, so you can call it what you want to call it. And they're about to go back and start changing some other things. They're about to go back and start changing some other things too. All that being born here and all that kind of stuff, they trying to change that as well. They trying to change all of that. This is just a pure me syndrome. Look at me, mommy syndrome. And the reason that this conversation is coming up in here is because there's a competition. You're competing with something. You're competing with something that you don't quite understand when it comes to finances. That's all it is. They don't look at you like that. Period. If something goes wrong or something get wrong, it's deportations happening. Period. They're going to send you right. They're going to send you back. They're going to send you out of here. Especially if it's a crime committed or something like that. So it's just that simple. It ain't a matter what we think, but you in here because you sound like you trying to say, wait a minute, look at us. Why are you looking at them? That's never going to change, bro. Never. Because you don't understand the business. As a matter of fact, people that come here actually mess up the business. If the United States can't make no money off of your country or off your island, this, that, and the other, then they don't have no need for you. You're Puerto Rican, and Puerto Rican means Puerto riches. So that's not what you are. That's not what you are. They was robbing that place. They was robbing it, stealing all the sugar cane and everything from there. But they're not heavily invested in that place. It's all about it's all about what you can do for them. You didn't hear John Kennedy? You didn't hear John F. Kennedy talking about all this other nonsense up in here? It ain't about what your country can do for you. It's about what you can do for your country. You didn't hear John F. Kennedy? Or did you miss that part? You didn't hear John F. Kennedy when he said that? And apples and oranges. I don't care. They was robbing it. So what? They robbed it. That's what it was for. It ain't about what your country can do for you. It's about what you can do for your country. You missed that. Crazy, man. Man, them people don't give a damn about nothing you talking about. It ain't nothing you're going to be able to do to change what's etched in stone. Never. These people running around here talking crazy, talking about eventually we going to be a part of that. Man, we ain't never going nowhere. Ever. Ever. They got a system that works. They got a system that works. It ain't never. The only, we talking about guests again. We ain't never going nowhere. Ever. Ever. They got a system that works, and guess what? When all else fails, they hit the reset button and start all over again without everybody else, just us and them. That's what it is. That's how it is. That's how it goes. Because see, we in here talking about Somalians being just deported, and then you come in here with a whole other narrative. You come in here with a whole other narrative about something that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. You came in here with the mommy, look at me. Look at me, daddy. That's what you came in here with. Look at me, daddy. Period. Again, the first Black Americans are Afro-Puerto Ricans. Fact. But no. You can't call them Black Americans and then call them Afro-Puerto Ricans. Do you know how many names? Do you know how many names Black people have been called? Colored, Negro, Afro this, Afro that, this, that, and the third. It ain't no such thing as that. All them identifying. You just called the people two different things in one sentence. Look, World Best Brader. Look at this comment right here. Again, the first Black Americans were Afro-Puerto Ricans. What? Afro-rich port. Ain't that something? People do not identify by those names. So you don't know what you're talking about. You're just coming in here and you spamming and you just talking. This is pure ignorance, man. Like you think you know what you're talking about. You ain't never wrong. Do you ever realize that? You ain't never wrong. That's why you in the situation you in. Because you ain't never wrong. You can't humble yourself and sit back and just shut up. It ain't never going to change. It's just ridiculous, man. The things that you're talking about. So what? What does that mean? What does that mean? They came late to the game. What does that mean? Now what? They came late to the game, then what happened? What's going on in the game? What happened in the game after they came late? That's what we want to know. What happened in the game after they came late? Then what happened? Listen, the only people that recorded this history right, do you think we're going to the Puerto Ricans or do you think we're going to the Caucasian mans about this history? This is what you got to ask yourself. Are we going to you or are we going to the Caucasian man about the history? You can best believe we're not. Listen, we're not going to you, man. We're not going to you. Trust me when I tell you. FBA Convo says, what up, Doe from Detroit? Detroit, what is the dealie? What the deal, Detroit? What's going on? How you doing, man? I'm in this room having a conversation right now, and we're going through the me. Daddy, it's me. Look at me over here syndrome right now. It's funny because I was having a conversation about what's going on in Minnesota and the deportations that they're talking about and everything that's taking place and all the things that's going on right now. And then all of a sudden, a narrative change and then you get the me situation coming here. And I'm just telling you like this, like for us over here, those type of things are weak emotions. It's weak. It's like something missing in your childhood or your upbringing where you feel as though that you got to be competitive with somebody else when you don't have the power to change what the circumstances. You don't have the power, the money, or the might to change the circumstances in this country. So it's a person here telling me that they're a part of two places, but they consider themselves as both when the laws and the laws in the United States say something different. There's a different type of citizenships that we have that others may not particularly have. And that's just the truth. That's just the fact of the matter. And they try to, like I said, like this comment right here, the first Black Americans were Afro-Puerto Ricans. That's a fact. And I'm saying, look, we don't listen. All that Black and then Americans, then we was African Americans, and then we was Afro-Puerto Ricans, and then we was Negroes, then we was coloreds. Like we'd have had so many different names, right? We'd have had so many different names, but that don't change a damn thing. The situation is what it is. Call it what you want to call it. The situation is what it is. So no, we're not learning anything except where we are right now. This is where we are right now. This is the situation we in right now. We dealing with the right now. Right now, we here. And this is what we gotta, this is the only thing we gotta learn. So it's just like that. But it's always the me attitude, and it's a weakness. It's really weak. I recognize it as being weak. I recognize it as being something that starts at home. It's a problem at home. And people come outside like that. People come outside like that. They come outside with these issues. And like I said, we was talking about Somalia. Conversation was about Somalia and the $18 billion issue that they're having up there. $18 billion. And we know for a fact that Donald Trump is going to make an example out of somebody. He is absolutely going to make an example out of somebody up there. There's no way in the world that $18 billion is going to go missing, and then all of a sudden everybody going to just turn turn a blind eye. No, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But I went in the chat, and I knew that there would be somebody in there. Yeah, I knew there would be somebody that would be typing away, trying to, put themselves in the same situation as African Americans. We talking about Somalians, and this guy's talking about African Americans. I don't even understand how that even happened. Only me without knowing anything about history or you. See, this is just, at the end of the day, all this does is turn to something remedial. All this does is turn to a remedial conversation. Look at this. This is a conversation, right? This is a chat where somebody will try to type so much information as if they're saying something. Look at this. Look at this comment. This is the comment of somebody that is jealous or envious and just like feeling like they're being left out. This is the redheaded stepchild type of comment. That's what we call this. This is the redhead stepchild type of comment. The conversation is about Somalians. How many times have I said it? Have I said it more than once, twice? Does anybody see the title of this show? Does anybody see the title of this show? Well, I'm telling you that the United States don't look at you like that. Period. You don't got to teach your history over there. They don't care. They're not documenting you as such. They're not documenting you as such. You're not a part of 1776. They don't care what happened in 1500. They hadn't even taken over. You don't understand. You're talking about something about it was before the land was even all the way conquered. They don't care. Don't nobody care nothing about that until they commandeered this shit. Everybody was here. You're not in the history books as such. You're trying to put yourself in a history of something that nobody cares about that. Nobody care about no damn 1500s. The hell we care about the 1500s for? Nobody care about no damn 1500s. As a matter of fact, we didn't even, it wasn't even our plan to even come here. Nobody cares about that. You in the history books, it don't say you there. Okay? That's just the bottom line. That's what you got to accept. Nobody cares about that. It ain't nothing nobody gonna be able to change it. Ain't nothing nobody gonna be able to do to change it. When we need history, we're not going to you. We're not going to you about it. It's just that simple. Yeah, yeah, it's just that simple. You're talking about something, naming all these people and this, that, and the third. Listen, man, they didn't even have the Declaration of Independence until 1776. You're talking about something in the 1500s. They don't give a damn about that shit. Ain't nothing. Listen, you know what they did? You know what they did after they did all you talking about? Listen, after they did everything you talking about, right? They turned around and went right back to that island and robbed it. That's what they did. That's what they did. Man, we ain't claiming. Listen. No, listen. Understand something, man. Understand something. No. Don't nobody want to be from an island, bro. Nobody. Don't nobody want to be from them islands, man. Nobody. Ain't nobody claiming to be nothing. You the only one in here talking this nonsense, and you think that is you. The thing that's crazy about it is that you think that is humor in it. Like that's the weird part. It's weird. It's weird. Seriously, it's really weird, man. Don't nobody want to be going back nowhere. We good. We here. We good. Everybody trying to come here. We not trying to go out there except for vacation, man. Are you kidding me? We trying to take a vacation and come the hell back, period. Ain't nobody trying to be out there with them 110 mile an hour damn winds. Nobody. Ain't nobody trying to go back nowhere. We here now. Where everybody trying to get for some reason. That's where we at. We somewhere where everybody trying to get back to. And apparently people not trying to leave willingly, but Donald Trump is trying to make that harder than it needs to be. It's crazy. It's crazy. These type of conversations, guys, I'm telling you, man, they don't even like, I've seen enough of these comments now where I'm like, yo, look at this. It's crazy. Like, it don't even make sense. There's there's really no scholarship behind it. There's no scholarship behind it at all. All it is assumptions, theories, and a bunch of just nonsense. I don't laugh behind my scholarship. I don't like put laughing emojis and shit behind my scholarship. If it means that I'm not serious. I don't do emojis behind my scholarship. Look. So why you think FBA claimed the official route of FBA? It's 1526. This guy's crazy, man. This guy's crazy. Do you know what foundation means to us? You think they talking about the foundation of 1526, bro? Do you really think that that's what they talking about? It's like, that's just jealousy. See, you know who knows? Do you know who knows? The only people we care about what they think is the man that says we're going to give you 40 acres and a mule. We don't care what you said. We don't care. Listen, this right here, 1526 with the Dominicans, we don't care. The Dominicans, the Spanish event ain't giving us 40 acres and a mule. We don't give a shit about 1526. We don't give a damn. We don't give a damn about none of that. That ain't what we talking about. Yo, no. It's not that. Listen, he can't help it. This is the daddy. Hey, Daddy, look at us over here. We did it too. Daddy, I want to play. Daddy, you forgot about us. You don't understand, y'all. This is the daddy. This is the daddy you forgot about me. You took Johnny down to the ball field and you didn't take Billy. That's what this is, y'all. I'm just telling you, man. Listen, these people think that we don't give a shit about 1526. Only thing we're trying to do is get to the bread. Like, are you kidding me? Yo, listen, man. Listen, it's crazy. To come in, we talking about Somalians, right? And one person coming here capping for some shit that we don't give a shit about. That we don't give a shit. We don't give two shits about. Nothing. Look, the scholarship is, look, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Look at the effort on this conversation right here. Look at the effort on this comment. Look. The FBA official website claimed 1526 the starting point and the roots of FBA, which means no. You don't understand. You don't understand. They're claiming everything. You don't understand. Foundational, bro. Foundational. Do you understand what that means? You looking at 1526 and you think that that's what they talking about? This is what I'm saying. Look, that's why, like I said, your scholarship, you laugh behind it like that means something. That don't mean shit. That ain't what we talking about. That's what I'm saying. You don't know us, man. That's why somebody, let's see, what's up? Let's see what my brother said. 50 plus million FBA needs one. We thinking, see, this how I know that this how I know that me and you are on the same plane. This how I know that me and you are on the same plane. Because this is all I was thinking about. I don't know what he talking about, right? He talking about 1526. 50 plus million FBA needs $1 million each due to them for the cruelty and discrimination endured over the centuries in America. FBA are freedmen, enslaved Africans, and black natives. Listen, he thinks that we're trying to claim some 1526 bullshit. No, this is about money, my guy. Don't you know where you are? Don't you know? I mean, damn, you don't know where you are? And this is ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. FBA's built America before it was called America. FBA's on code, and the code is the leader of FBA's. You better damn well know it. Listen, like I said, this just comes down to everybody having to take on some African American studies, even though it's basically out of our curriculum now. I'm telling you, the biggest thorn in a lot of these people that don't know us, I've been saying it for weeks that they don't know us, is that when they took the African American studies out of our curriculum, the way it's supposed to be, it set people back. These peoples are strangers. They are strange. I'm not even joking. I never thought it was like that. I'll be honest with you, because I really never cared like that until I realized the thing that they have in that's boiling inside of them. They have something boiling inside of them where they try. It's like a jealousy. Just say, if we could just say, yo, damn, you want this car? Take it. We're gonna go over here. I don't even know if they would be satisfied with that. I mean, if this was if America was a shithole, they wouldn't want we wouldn't be hearing nothing that they're spewing right now. They wouldn't be saying a damn thing. But since America is what it is and we contributed towards it, they want to claim everything, even almost your identity. It's weird. It's really weird. So I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is just a strange thing to me. Like I said, taking African American studies out of our curriculum was one of the worst things that they could have ever did. They could. I mean, one of the worst things they could have ever did. Because I'm telling you, these people are just total. One more generation of this. One more generation of our African American studies missing out of our school system. These people, these kids that's growing up now are going to have no clue about each other's history, and they're going to be walking around each other just total strangers. I'm talking about total strangers, absolute total strangers. When you put this much information into your chat and then you laugh behind your scholarship, it means that you're not serious. I can't take you serious over here. I can't take you serious over here. Because, you know what I mean? Like, you don't even understand when somebody says FBA to me and foundation to me, I know exactly what they're talking about without them even having to go into explaining it to me. So when that word came out and when it first started being said out loud, I already knew what it meant personally, privately. I already knew exactly what they meant privately. I didn't even need no tutorial on it. I didn't need no explanation. I didn't need no. If you notice, there wasn't nobody going around here with a pamphlet saying, yo, this is what this means. Those that knew and understood knew exactly what that meant. It knew exactly what that meant. Once again, this comment right here means shit. You could burn it. It don't look at it. The foundation of FBA starts with their original roots. And according to the FBA Foundation, original roots start with Dominicans. We ain't in Dominican. We're not in DR. We're not in DR. What? So your comment means nothing. If it's Dominican, so what? We ain't there right now. We're here trying to collect some bread. So it don't mean nothing. My brother says, Latinos checked Mayo on the U.S. Census. Ain't no black and brown collaboration. Send them salsa tethers back to me. Yo, man. Listen, this shit is just absolutely insanity, man. It's insanity. We over here talking about Somalians and the issue that they have in Minnesota. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes out of left field, which means that the fathers and the mothers of FBR are Dominicans, and that, according to me, but instead according to the FBA themselves. I don't understand what your point is. I don't understand what your point is. I really don't. I really don't. You're talking to a person that don't subscribe to the names that you're calling me. Like I keep telling you, you're from a rich port. You don't name me. Don't start running those names to me. Those names mean nothing to me at all. I'm not from a rich port. I'm not black. Black is a color. Okay? We may use it as an English term now because we need to make sure that everybody understands who we are talking about. But I'm technically not black like the night is black. I'm a Negro. I'm from a Negro land. I have Negro hair. I'm from a Negro land. I know that I'm not indigenous to where I come from, where I'm at right now. Or maybe I am. But who knows? I can tell you this, I like it hot. But what you're saying means nothing to me. It has nothing to do with us getting to our bag. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. It has nothing to do. What does that mean? What does that mean? Why ain't they here? Let me ask you this. If our parents are Dominicans, why haven't they welcomed us back to the island? Why when they go back to that island, people are being killed? And as a matter of fact, where are they right now? What if they're our parents, what land did they leave for us? Do we got any property back there? Let's get to the money. Let's start talking about the money. FBA Combo says, beat active is the reason why FBA need to delineate. Hey, I cannot disagree. I cannot disagree, bro. I cannot disagree with that. Because I don't want to be around people that don't know me and don't understand my culture. I can't. I mean, I didn't know it was like this. I need y'all people to start taking these African American studies. You have to take African American studies because you're over here, you're ignorant, and you're wrong. And guess what? Daddy don't care about your complaints. If you do something wrong over here, they're going to do something to you. Period. The Somalians have come over here and done some things that they don't understand. You cannot rob from the house. You can't take house money. Our president is involved in casinos. He knows how casinos, he's been around crooks before. A couple 100,000 here and there, okay, he may have turned a blind eye. But 18 billion? Oh, he grade put BTA. His grade be belt to ass. It ain't no way out. Ain't nowhere to run. Ain't nowhere to run. It's belt to ass, man. 18 billion? And you ain't even putting it back in the community? You ain't even putting it, they ain't even put it back in the community where they was at. What I was looking at was all boarded up. What I was looking at was all boarded up. They're not doing that. They're not doing that. Do you know what lineage means? Well, if FBA is lineage, it means that the parents of the lineage are Dominican. Again, you keep telling me all of this dumb shit, right? Where's the money? Where's the money, man? Okay, you told me about my lineage, right? Listen, everybody watch this, right? You told me about my lineage. Okay, I get it. Hold on. I get it. Hold on. Where is he at? Hold on. Okay, don't put up no more comments. We get it. Negro is Spanish. Okay, the word means black. Okay, but educated. Before that, it was Hebrew. Okay, I'm a Hebrew man from the Negro land. Do you understand that? No, don't put your hands up. I'm a Hebrew man. I'm Hebrew. Before Spanish and before Negro and before Latin, there was something called Hebrew. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Where's he at? Mashalom Ka? Mashalom Ka? Mashalom Ka? No. Don't put nothing else in it. No, don't type nothing else. Let's have a conversation now. Mashalom Ka? Hold on. If you, I'm great. Have a conversation with you, and if you spam me, I'm gonna put you out. He says if Black Americans were called Negroes before any other term, it should be allowed because of. This is just so ignorant. This is just so ignorant and so dumb. And this is why as unbelievable. This is just so stupid. This is a person that's talking that think they know something that don't know shit. We are Hebrews, man. We're Hebrews. We're from the Negro land. Just like you was calling yourself Richport, we're from Negro land. Negroes. That's why they called us Negroes. We know it because it meant the land of black. The people themselves that was there were Hebrew people, and they were Hebrew speaking people. And they spoke Hebrew. Shalom Aleichem. Maslam Ka. Tov Todah Ve'ata. Tov Todah Ve'ata. Now I'm going to ask you a question again. Don't come in here playing around over here with jokes and all these Somalis. I told you we know who we are. We're not coming to you for no history and no information. If what you're telling me is true, where's our property at? Because I don't know if that small island can handle all the people here. Didn't I just tell you that we were Hebrews from the Negro land, which meant the land of black in Spanish? Negro. Don't you think we know that? We're Hebrew people. The word Negro, the word Negro was used because the language was in Latin. It just meant black. People of color. The people that was there were Hebrew speaking people. I'm going to ask you again. I'm going to ask you one more time. Where is our property in DR? Because you don't know what you're talking about. We know exactly who we are, man. And we don't need you to tell us. Let me just tell you something about yourself. Let me tell you something about yourself. You know who you are? You know who you are? You think I don't know that? Dude, do you know that Africa is not even the real name of that land? That's Afro-Scipios. Do you know that? Don't play with me, man. Because you're not ready for this type of scholarship. You over here looking stupid right now. You keep telling me about all these terms and you don't know what you're talking about. We know exactly how it got here. We know. We know all about the Spanish and we know about the Latin. Okay, we know all about it. The term you're using, Negro, is Spanish, but it goes back further. Not to just when you got it and when you received it. You don't know what you're talking about. I just told you that before all of those languages, we were speaking Hebrew. Eber. You don't know who you are. We know who you are. We know how you got dropped off on them islands. Y'all been hard-headed since the inception. Y'all never listened. Y'all, do you know that? Do you know what? Do you know that? You know why you in here spamming and running your mouth? Y'all been like that the entire time. Y'all always been like that. Hard-headed and envious. Hard-headed as hell. Let me show you something about you. Let me show you something about yourself that you don't know. Let me show you something. Let me show you something about yourself. Hold on. Let me show you something, bro. Show you something. You're in here running your mouth, right? You're in here running your mouth. I didn't want to go here because this is a whole nother conversation for somebody, because you're a keyboard warrior. But let me just show you something. You ain't on here telling us nothing. We tell you. We tell you. Watch this. I want everybody to watch this. Everybody to watch this for a second. We always got to go somewhere because, see, these people have been like this for a very long time, and a lot of people don't know it. They've been like this for a long time. I know exactly who they are. Watch this. This is who these people are, man. We been here arguing, and I sometimes I don't go this way because I try not to get too deep into things because on this topic anyway, because a lot of people they don't know what's going on. But these people, this is them. Hold on. When you look through the history of these people, this is Ephraim talking. Hard-headed Puerto Ricans, man. Hard-headed Puerto Ricans. They never listen. They're from the Northern Kingdom. These were the people that first was exiled in the ships and went out to all them islands: Panama, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Mexico, Jamaica. They've been everywhere. They've been all. Look. They're even described in here. They look like a cake unturned. Y'all ever seen a cake that's been unturned? It's yellow. It's yellow. They always been hard-headed. Always. Couldn't tell them nothing. Didn't want to listen. Don't want to listen. Can't fall in. Let me show you something else. Let me show you something else. Show you something else. Watch this, y'all. Watch this. Y'all, watch this, man. I didn't want to cut him like this, but I got to. Because he in here running his mouth. He think we don't know who he is. He's bad, man. Bad. Watch this. This is what they've been doing for centuries. But the Most High just shows me that I got to show him who he is and why he need to sit down and shut up some damn where. All that damn typing for nothing. Typing for nothing, man. That's what you're doing. Typing for nothing. Here it is. Boom. This is what's been going on for a long time, y'all. This been going on. This ain't nothing new under the sun. So I want y'all to know that every time he comes in here, when he be doing that shit, he don't even know who I am. Like I be sitting there watching him and looking at him, and all he does is he proves this to be so right. Look. I want all y'all to read this. We vex them people, man. I'm leaving that up there. I'm leaving that up there. Because they're talking about his people. I'm leaving that up there. World's best braider. This is what you do to him and his soul. He is vexed. He is vexed. He don't know who we are. He don't know nothing about us. He's vexed. He's a spammer and all. Listen, he don't have a clue how this gonna play out. It ain't nothing he can do to us. Nothing to change our situation. Nothing. Nathan. It ain't a damn thing he can do. It ain't a damn thing that he can do. He is super vexed, super jealous. Always had a rock, always had an envious bone in him. Always been. They can't help it. But ain't shit they can do about it. That's the worst part about it. Is having it and knowing that you can't do shit about it. I'm leaving that right up there. That's going to stay. That's going to stay up there. That's going to be the one that's pinned to the top. That's going to be pinned right there. Because we don't need them trying to tell us anything about history. We dealing with something else. They tell me something come late and all this other bullshit. We light years away from where they are. That's like dealing with a child. That's like dealing with a child right there. That think they know what they don't know, or think they know something that we don't know, and then try to come up with some dumbass history, all the stuff that we done did, right? And then all of a sudden, here comes some weirdo out of the blue, right? Trying to tell you something like we don't know. Man, it's 2025. It's gonna be 2026 next week. We've been at this for a long time, man. What you need to do is you need to go get yourself together, man. Get your life together. Go get your life together and get your studies together, man. When you remove that envy from you and you stop being vexed at hate, then you'll start seeing the information. You'll start knowing who you're dealing with over here. You'll start knowing. You know what I mean? It ain't nothing nobody ever gave to us. It's prophetic, man. This thing we dealing with is prophetic. We was going to tell you who you were. That's the job. The job is to tell you who you are and why you need to sit over there and chill. You're making too much noise. We over here doing things. Basically, go sit your dumb ass down somewhere. That's basically what we saying. You don't know what's going on. That's you right there, a cake unturned. Speckled bird. You ever heard of that? You know what a speckled bird looks like? You ever seen a speckled bird before? Man, right there. That's where that's going to be at. Listen, this goes for the Somalians too, and everybody else running around here. Okay, that's what this doing is going for everybody else around here. You don't know, ain't nothing going to change. Not for us anyway. Only thing we're going to do and continue to do is where's that money? Where's that bread at? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for that money. That's what we looking for. When that bread comes through, we need somebody to show us that money. Where's that money at? Not like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying. It's just funny how we get into these conversations. This was about Somalia, the deportation, and the 19, $18 billion fraud. And we're supposed to be getting into that type of conversation. Instead, we have somebody coming over here saying, Daddy, look at me. Look at me, Daddy. Don't forget about me. I need you to look at me. I'm over here dancing and hopping. I need you to look at me. That's so whack. That's so whack. It's so whack to me. And it's like you can't even help yourself. You can't find yourself a place in line. So you're worrying about what's going on 3-4 people ahead of you. You can't even figure out what's going on ahead of you, man. I'm leaving that right there. Leaving that right there. Listen, man, salute to everybody that came through today. You know what I'm saying? Somalians, the Somali community. Y'all better be careful, man. Y'all better be careful. And y'all need to talk to some type of clergy. Y'all need to talk to somebody. I don't even know if they're going to be willing to even speak with you guys now. But, I mean, man, look. Y'all coming over here and messing around with Uncle Sam's money is not a good idea. I don't recommend it. I do not recommend it. I do not recommend it. They're going to get their money back no matter what. They're going to bleed somebody. And I don't even care. I know what they're going to do. They're going to go right in that Somalian country, and they're going to get that money back out of there somehow, some way. All y'all did was gave them a reason to come over there and set up shop. I mean, that's all y'all did, because Uncle Sam going to get his money. You cannot play with his money. He's funny about his money. He ain't put his face on there for nothing. Are you kidding me? You got to be kidding me. You can't do that. No situations for us is going to change. No matter what the situation is. We here now. We are where we are. And this is the situation. And we got to do what we got to do. Period, point blank, man. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot going on in the world. And it sounds crazy to me. That all the scenarios I hear about this faction saying this, that faction saying that. Absolutely insanity. I don't get it. I never will get it. I don't understand it now. It doesn't matter. We don't need anything coming from the peanut gallery. We don't need nobody trying to tell us who we are, this, that, and the third. We know our situation already. That's why we just chilling. That's why we just chilling, man. We just chilling, you know? That's it. Period. Ain't nothing nobody gonna be able to do to change it. They, you know, people owe us too much money, man. We changing our situation. Can't do that. You can't do that. That's the one thing gonna get people to stand up out of their seat. So there ain't nothing nobody can do. So do yourself a favor, man. The only way that you can get to get yours, you got to get that vex out of your eye for us, boy. Because I'm gonna tell you something right now. That ain't never gonna change. That ain't never gonna change. I'm telling you, if FBA ever decided to say, hey, look, we just going to decide, we're gonna go with this group right here, and this is who we're gonna support, everybody else is out. Everybody else is out. I mean, God forbid, even though they would never do that, we never do things like that. But if they did, man, what? If they do that, everybody getting out. Everybody's getting out. I'm telling you right now. But they would never do that. But the point is you just got to get that vexation out of your soul. You got to get it out of you somehow, some way. It's a weakness, man. That's weak. That's weak. When you're that jealous, that's weak. Don't nobody spend that much time thinking about no other people and nobody. That's corny. That's corny, man. That's corny. And guess what? On a historical level and on a prophetical level, all you doing is just, it's like you going outside screaming and ain't nobody listening. Ain't nothing you did or said changes nothing that we got going on. Nothing. You can talk till you're blue in the face. We know who got the books and all the ledgers, and we know who got that money. And it ain't you. They didn't already robbed you for what they wanted from you, all that sugar cane. Shit. Ain't even no more sugar cane left down there. They ain't listening to you. We already know they already know the deal. They already know the deal. It's in one of them big ass books that got dust on it, look like a Harry Potter book. It's this big. Got all the constitutional laws in there. We in it. We in it. That you can do this, that, and the third, but them right there, they're exempt. Period. We might have to fight every now and then, but hey, it's always been like that. Always been like that. We've been fighting a long time. So what the hell's the problem? Hell's the problem? They respect a good brawl now. But guess what? We ain't never robbed a kitty. You want to be put out the house? Go rob a kitty. Watch what happens. Watch what happens. You're going to get up out of here. You're going to get up out of here, period. Period, point blank. Listen, man, ladies and gentlemen, world's best braider. I seen you in there in the chat. FBA talk. I saw you. Shout out to you. You and yours. You know what I mean? FBA combo. And listen, man. We're going to come back with something else nice. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's going to be on this hip hop conversation or whatever, you know, but this has been a good build. We've learned a lot of things. I didn't know that this situation was that corrupt in Minnesota, but it's a lot going on up there. And like I said, to have something that intricate, you have to have somebody on the inside, man. It has to be somebody on the inside working for that situation. There's no way in the world that anybody can throw around that type of money without having somebody on the inside. So I got a feeling that it's going to be a lot of heads going to roll politically in Minnesota. And I'm pretty sure they're going to get to the bottom of it. But I can guarantee you one thing. If I don't say nothing else, it's going to be a lot of people that got codees. It's going to be some people that's taking pleas. There's people that want pleas right now. All you got to do is say, I'm taking your Christmas away. And then somebody going to cop a plea. They're going to be singing like the OJs up in that piece. They're going to be singing like the OJs. That's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be singing like the OJs up in there and the Temptations. Boy, you better not. What? When I tell you America's Got Talent need to be over that piece. America Got Talent need to be over that piece because they're going to be singing up a storm. Man, what? You going to think when you go by that district attorney's office, you going to think it was Motown. Yo, when you go by the district attorney's office in Minnesota, you're going to think that it was Motown. I'm telling you right now. You're going to think it was Motown. I'm telling you. Everybody up in there going to be singing. So if you got a code D, man, it's a wrap for you. It's a wrap for you. I'm telling you, ain't nobody going to be wanting to spend Christmas or New Year's in jail. These people done got used to having some new, fresh money. Everybody looking like new money, new cars. Everybody looking for a deal right now. I guarantee you that the district attorney's office phone is ringing off the hook. Because whoever, just think about if you involved and then they saying, don't come. I don't want them to come for me. Somebody done got on that phone. 1-800-TALK-A-LOT. Yo, I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now. Everybody, World's Best Braider, everybody getting a deal. I seen one of them look like Peebo Bryson. I seen one of them look like Peebo Bryson. I'm telling you, they telling, man. They telling. Ain't no way in the world. If you got money tied up somewhere and it's supposed to be going back to your family member, or it's supposed to be going back to somebody, or here, you done got here, and this is your main income now, and you've sustained all this wealth and you trying to take care of all these people, shit. I'm telling you right now. Barry Gordy gonna be down that piece. Lou Rawls. I seen one of them look like Lou Rawls too. All good. Ladies and gentlemen, man, listen. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate y'all joining me, man. Everybody in the chat. It's been fun. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna come back with something nice. I don't know what it is. We're gonna pop the top off of somebody, but we're gonna have a different kind of conversation later on tonight. So I appreciate everybody stopping by, man. So to the next episode of the Scoreboard Keepers, I am your host, the Ref, man. We love everybody over here, but guess what? We call a spade a spade. I'm the Ref. I gotta call it like I see it. Until the next time, man.